It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, the 14th day of June, 2013, and this rarely happens, but I'm here to tell you, the news I've got in front of me is absolutely off the chart important. Militarily, economically, everything. I've got to go through all of the 15-plus stacks of news I've got here, all of it is so incredibly illustrative of what we face, and that's the key, is getting the general public to not be distracted by how the establishment spins stories, but to get the public to understand the news behind the news, the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey, good day, would say. I mean, look at Drudge Report today. Look at this headline. War, U.S. military support for Syrian rebels, no-fly zone. Syrian rebels pledge loyalty to Al-Qaeda, USA Today. Now, I've been telling you that for 2 years plus, that it is Al-Qaeda forces. Then you go up here. Spy agencies swap data with thousands of firms. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Telecommunications Act of '96. That's what they bragged about in the New York Times in 2001. I'm going to get into that. They've tried to roll all this out to the public before. It's all going on illegally. They're just doing it. And it has nothing to do with terrorism. Nothing. I mean, not even 1% of it. It is about Fortune 100 firms that lobbied the government to build it. And they got paid to build it. They made money building it, and then now they have got the corner on the entire market. The stock market's rigged, the interest rates are rigged, the fuel prices are rigged. Everything is a rigged economy in the United Kingdom, the U.S., and Europe to a great extent, and they are shutting down all their competition using regulators and using surveillance systems to game all of the infrastructure to take over, and they brag about that. The NSA is there to kill freedom. The NSA is there to bring in Agenda 21. The NSA is there with these giant computer programs to consolidate power. And finally, Zero Hedge, Business Insider. I even saw a Reuters article mentioning it. People are going, wait a minute. You mean they're using this for business? That's an unfair trade advantage. Really? Really? You pay to be spied on. You're like, well, nothing to hide. Your info can be used against you. You have nothing to hide, so you put photos of yourself on Facebook and say, by the way, I'm going to the Bahamas for a week, and thieves find out where you live and rob your house. You had nothing to hide because you're not a bad person, dummy. The bad people want your info. What is your problem? That is why this is a felony. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to say I was psychic to know all this stuff. I'm not. I know human nature, I know history, and I study the funding of these infrastructures and the groups that are lobbying. And they've got over 100 firms lobbying 24/7 to get rid of all our rights and turn over the computer systems to them, and they get paid to spy on us and share it with everybody. They are a bunch of ruthless gangsters and thugs. I've gone to a Smart Growth conference. I've gone to several, but back in like 1998 in Austin, and they were just standing around, thousands of them, business, corporate leaders going, we're going to rob everybody, shut everybody's business down but us, and take over. High five, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, and I'm sitting there going, and I walk over to a famous Dallas cowboy who just given a speech about how they were taking over. And I said, why are you talking like this? Of course, no filming was allowed in there. And he just goes, get out of my way, and just shoved me out of the way with crazed eyes. Just like, yeah, America's ours, ah, ah. And the public are a bunch of sheep thinking this is to protect them from terrorists. Terroristas! Give me a break! It's Friday, 14th day of June, 2013. I'm your host, Alex Jones, former Minnesota governor and a good friend of mine, Jesse Ventura, will be joining us coming up in the second hour of worldwide transmission, but it will be news and phone calls the rest of the time. All right, where to begin? Here is what we're going to be breaking down and covering today. Obviously, we told you the word came from our sources that Bilderberg was going to go ahead and give the order to publicly drop the hammer on their 2+ year war against the sovereign nation of Syria using al-Qaeda. And we're going to move forward with a no-fly zone and a kinetic energy action known as a Nobel Prize bombing campaign, properly Orwellian termed. And Obama has made that announcement at the White House. He has his fiction writer. Now, that's an article up on Infowars.com. That's who they hired. That's the fellow that came up with the term kinetic energy action. They had a fiction writer write up the new evidence of chemical weapons claim. Headline, man behind Syrian chemical weapons claim is fiction writer who ran Benghazi cover-up. And Paul Watson has the other article up there, arrest Obama under NDAA for supporting terrorists in Syria. And that sounds bizarro because it is bizarro. Truth is more bizarro than anything Marvel Comics could come up with. And I'm going to go over those headlines here in just a moment. This is unprecedented what's happening, and the Russians are going to pour more weapons and troops in. So this is basically a war with Russia, with global banks using the United States for a worldwide destabilization, which they can use as the political distraction to implode major currencies and further loot treasuries in banker bailout programs. You have to understand, it's globalist above the nations playing us off against each other and controlling criminal networks. And Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, who's got some of the highest security clearances possible, concurred with my analysis yesterday. So did General Hamid Gul, the former head of Pakistani intelligence that led the CIA-funded war against the Russians. He beat the Russians with about 1% of the firepower. He came on yesterday from Pakistan and concurred with my analysis 100% because we know what's going on. Here's what's frustrating. This stuff is not hidden. This is hiding in plain view. And it's not up for interpretation what's going on. The most lawless, bizarre, openly criminal actions are going on right now. Our so-called government's run by foreign banks. It ships in narcotics publicly, launders the money publicly says they'll disappear and arrest any U.S. citizens they want, publicly spies on everything we're doing to have economic advantage against grassroots companies. That's now finally in the news. Is waging war on the family. They're having lesbian gay meetings with children as the presenters, again, sexualizing children. It is just unbelievable how it's all over the top. This is a criminal, globalist, anti-human revolution taking place against the people of the world. This is scientifically being done to short-circuit our normal human programming that's designed for survival. So we've got all of that news coming up. We've got Obama swearing to kill the Keystone Pipeline again and to shut off U.S. power grids. Obama tells Keystone foes he will unveil climate measures. He already did it. He already upped the carbon tax that Congress wouldn't pass, but is already in place. He just upped it, and the money goes directly to him and the Rothschilds. I mean, it is just absolutely, totally unprecedented. You know, imagine if they had a event at the White House for, say, you know, a movement for women to be able to go topless. It's still sexual. And they had little kids do the presentation. You'd be like, why do you got kids involved with something sexual? Maybe you can have kids deliver you the shrimp and sirloin at the topless bar. It's like, well, it's no big deal. You know, we have kids delivering you your drink at the topless bar. You know, they got their clothes on, so it's okay. Again, it's sexualizing children, just like Jocelyn Elders, you know, saying, we've got to reach down and help the 5-year-olds. Remember those clips? And you're like, what is this about? If they can take your kids at age 5 and teach them about sex, they can do anything they want in your life. Your kids belong to them. They run TV ads on MSNBC saying, your kids aren't yours, they're the state's. In Germany and many other countries of Europe, they take your kids if you try to homeschool. On every sitcom drama show, they demonize homeschoolers. They're coming for those of us that have not been fully absorbed into their program. This is a global, scientific Borg takeover, in their words. They say we will be assimilated, and I say they can go to Hades. Now, let me go over something here for you. I told you about 1,000 times, conservatively, and we wrote articles about it, and we talked about it, and I'm not asking for credit. I'm asking for people to understand why I get so angry and why I'm begging you to get more active. The NSA was always set up to steal your personal data and to spy on small companies and mid-sized corporations to then hand their developments and innovations over to foreign-based operations and to move those programs in the last 30 years to China. And I was told that by NSA people. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I really don't want to talk about this. You see the atmosphere of persecution and things that are going on. But I'm on record. You know, wherever it came from, I told you. Okay? I told you. I mean, you know, I had former top CIA briefers to Ronald Reagan on the show. I get the head of Pakistani intelligence and the former top general on. I mean, those are not the only sources we've got, ladies and gentlemen. But it's also come out in publications in the last 20 years that I've been deep in study, 18 years on air. It is a fact that if you don't have privacy, you don't have freedom and you're a slave. The idea that you have privacy because you're hiding something is a fraud. You have privacy because bad people will use your lack of privacy to enslave you. So we're going to be getting to that at the bottom of the hour. And again, I'll use the example. You've heard of the thousands of reported robberies where people are dumb enough to post their address on Facebook or generally where they live, and then to show the Christmas presents they got in some narcissistic moron exercise. And then they get robbed. Now that just gives you an idea of why privacy is important. Why does the government want privacy when it's the only group that's not supposed to have it, to commit all their crimes and things? So from their perspective, it is because they're doing a lot of bad things. But the individual has maximum privacy unless there is a person swearing an oath on record so they can be faced as the accuser, and so they can be arrested if they file a false report listing the person, place, papers, and effects that are to be searched, and specifically why. Here's the warrant. We're here to search because a witness said they saw you putting a body in a trunk in your basement. And they go down into the basement to look for the trunk. That's a warrant. Or we have sworn witnesses that you're conducting drug deals on the phone and they bought drugs from you and arranged for it over the phone. They have sworn, they're on record, and we are coming to, tap your phone to see if that's the case. This is the type of warrants they get from a judge. People said, well, let's make the people giving the tips secret. Oh, so they'll be safe. And then they can now have all these felons and people that they're hiring for the police forces and the State Department and the TSA on purpose. It's a criminal takeover. They can now just say they saw the insurance salesman down the block sell drugs, and the cops come to his house and gun him down and then take the house and no drugs are found. So what? I mean, this is the type of world we're entering into here. And now it's coming out that they're fixing the stocks, the bonds, they're shutting down their competition, they're gaming with flash trades, they're gaming with interest rate fixing. They know how the public's going to move, what they're going to do. It's all an unfair trade advantage, and that's what the Fortune 100 have, and they get paid to build the spy grid. 90+% on record of the spy grid in the Western world is run by private law firms, private groups. And they can walk in and dial in and listen to your phone. They can go and dial in and turn on your TiVo and watch you, now coming out with cameras. They can dial into your computer. And when the national press is here, they always go, why are the cameras on your computers covered? And I go, well, there's onboard microphones we can't turn off, but you know, they have AI computers that dial in and watch and listen. And they'll laugh at me. I had Nightline laugh at me when they were here. They were like, really, Alex? I was like, you know this is patented on record. And they just wink and go, because they're lying to themselves. It's like a funny joke or something. Look, this isn't a funny joke. The FEMA camps are public. The Emergency Centers Establishment Act, all of this is on record. The Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, they are gearing up for the total collapse and the arrest of at least 8 million Americans to be sent to re-education camps, and many of us are to be killed. And they're training to do that. Now, that's all on record, by the way. This is a treasonous, criminal, military-industrial complex run by foreign banks, spying on everything you do to be able to predict the future and game you and your family and rob you and set up financial actuaries where it's impossible for somebody that plays by the rules to make it in society. Our society is run by the worst of the worst of the worst criminals, and being a nice guy is being a schmuck. You understand? All right, coming up, I'm going to break down militarily what may happen if this war intensifies in Syria. Notice the establishment has such incredible disdain for the public. They're just now saying they may arm the rebels, when on record, Congress has appropriated over $1 billion the last 2 years to the rebels. And they've shipped massive weapons out of Benghazi, including heat-seeking missiles, roughly 10,000 of those, 8,000 other surface-to-air missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, into Syria. Turkey off and on bombards different areas of the country with heavy howitzer cannons. But that's not a war, because Obama's black and liberal, and he got a peace prize. I say give him like 10 more. I mean, why not? So all of that's coming up. But I'm also going to get deeply into how the NSA really works with you here. And it's now all being admitted. Unfair trade, where the insiders get to know everything about you and everything about your business and everybody you're talking to and what deals you're going to make, and so they can call regulators and have them shut you down. Doesn't matter if it's legal. I mean, people wonder why. We discovered our honeybees became immune to the Roundup pesticide, and that's what's killing them. Top bee biologist, tells his colleague, gets SWAT team 2 days later. That happened in Illinois, because your phones are being listened to, folks, and a company's going to test and prove that a GMO is what's causing brain damage in children. And then they get a call by Monsanto lawyers saying, we're going to sue you. And they go, we just decided to do this test 3 days ago. How do you know? And they go, just know you've been warned, punk. They, Monsanto, and hundreds of companies have everything. I want to explain this to you. Any governor can walk in and dial in and listen to anybody they want. That's why they've had governors before go, yeah, when I want to find my wife, I just, go to the system and type in her number and it pops up. And that was, 10 years ago, before that was open news. You think you can just choose to put the function on and find somebody with their phone? No. Everything you're doing is being tracked, folks. And it's bad people that have the data. Same reason you don't go post where you live on Facebook and say, by the way, in my safe, I've got my wife's jewelry and here's the passcode. It's not because you're a criminal that you hide that info. Why do I lock my door? Do I lock my door at night because my kids are my captives? That's how the government would spend it. No, I lock it because it's just another level of security. Somebody's got to now break in, and that gives me a heads up to get to a firearm. And I don't do that because I live in fear. I do that because I live in power. I do that because I'm a survivor. I'm not a schmuck. I'm not a sucker. I'm not a goofball. I'm not an idiot. I'm not a mark. I'm not here to be run over. I'm not here to be a slave. I'm here to be informed, dynamic, involved, empowering myself and others. I'm here to breathe air and have red blood pump through my big, fat, red heart. And I'm here to have children. And I'm here to build a civilization. And I'm here to watch them have grandchildren. And if I'm blessed to see great-grandchildren, and then to die, but to have what I did for humanity go forward, and that's what you're here for. Not to have a bunch of crooks ruling over us and siphoning our energy off for themselves so they can play God. Now, you got a decision, humanity. What are you going to do? Look at this article, USA Today. USA Today, right here. I'm going to go out and actually buy the newspaper so we have this. Right here, document cam, please. Syrian rebels pledge loyalty to al-Qaeda, and it goes on that the main force, I already told you this, 60-70%, is al-Qaeda in al-Qaeda uniforms with al-Qaeda banners, and they go around chopping Christians' heads off and blowing up synagogues and murdering minority Muslim groups en masse. There's articles out today, and now they're just having it in the mainstream news. For 2 years I've exposed this, well, really 3 if you count Libya. It's all been admitted. But then I get to hear neocons on national radio when I randomly tune in, like I did 2 days ago, saying Alex Jones is a traitor. He says the government runs al-Qaeda. And then I hear the same host a month before say Obama runs al-Qaeda. So even these talk show hosts think you're so dumb. They can have it both ways. I told you big corporations have the NSA and run the NSA and are the NSA. Time Warner, AT&T, Verizon, Google, Apple, all of them are in telecommunications. They are the government. I'll explain that to you when we come back, okay? But here it is, USA Today. Here's another one about how the main force is al-Qaeda. And then there's Paul Watson's headline, Arrest Obama under NDAA for supporting terrorists in Syria. And we post the law right there, section 1021B2. But, of course, that's only for us because they are announcing the main enemy is Tea Partiers and gun owners, and the military is training to take our guns, put us in FEMA camps. The system wants you captured in its web. The system wants to make people that aren't criminals so they have an excuse to arrest you, to put you in jail, to take your rights away, to suck off of you. This is how modern slavery is being instituted. There's an article up on Infowars.com by Kurt Nemo about Tea Party governor makes a bong possession a felony, a water pipe, something that people smoke marijuana out of, something that's popular in Austin bars that they smoke tobacco out of. And they're going to put you in jail for 7 years for it because that's how the parasites feed off of you, while all the real criminals go free. Boy, that sounds so libertarian, so incredibly libertarian to me. And that's going on in Florida and other states, moves like that. So that's the type of news we've got coming up. Before I get back into the fact that it's now all over the news that al-Qaeda's being given missiles and weapons, and they go, oh, don't worry, we'll make sure the good rebels get it. It's led by Saudi Arabia that is al-Qaeda. It's the Saudi Arabian government that funds al-Qaeda. 15 of the 19 hijackers came from there. And the FBI director is out saying, Snowden's leak may let terrorists hit us. Give me a break, Director Mueller. I've interviewed the head of the U.S. Embassy visa section, Mr. Springman. He's been in national news as well. Back in 2001 and 2, they were ordered to let the 15 hijackers in who were listed as al-Qaeda. And they were told these are CIA agents, not operatives, agents. And they were CIA agents. Mohammed Atta, all of them were trained at the Pensacola Naval Air Station and also at the Defense Language School. And you know how we know that? The head of the Defense Language School, Lieutenant Colonel Butler, went public 2 weeks after 9/11 in an article that the Associated Press even picked up saying, I don't know exactly what's going on, but these guys are government agents. Muhammad Atta was in his course for a year. Ian, the head of the schools, the dean, he was the dean. He taught classes, and 5 of the hijackers were in his class. He knew them. He had lunch with them. He shook their hands. And they were set up. And as best we can tell from the real airphone calls, gas was released on the aircraft. There was no let's roll. All of that is pure bull, ladies and gentlemen. The military refused to stand down and shot down the flight over Pennsylvania. And we even know what squadron did it. The happy hooligans out of North Dakota who were stationed in Virginia at the time for drills. And when we interviewed a colonel on that, my source, he died 2 weeks after he came on the show. A lot of dead people we talk to, they die after they come on the show. You want to keep going here? This broadcast is not a game, folks. It's not a joke. I'm not a talk show host that says I'm going to expose FEMA camps. They're real, and then builds it up for a month, and then comes out and debunks it with straw men. I don't say I've got a big announcement in 2 days and it doesn't come out. I don't get up here on air and say our MI5 source and police source said Bilderberg's freaked out. The government's pressuring them to go public. They're going to go public on BBC Saturday, and then it happens 4 days later. This is a real broadcast. I am a real person. I am a real patriot risking my life. You understand? And I want you to know that so you know there's good guys. I want you to understand also what we risk. Many Boffins died to bring you this information. You understand that? We have the schematics of the New World Order. We have the blueprints. We have their program. We know. That's how we can tell you what's really going on before it's in the mainstream news. They nerve gassed the people on board those aircraft and flew them in by remote control. Who they are, I don't know. But NORAD's on record being ordered to stand down. Now, do you think things are going to get better under this government? No. It's going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen, and it's bigger than George W. Bush. It's bigger than Barack H. Obama. They're presidents of a corporate arm of the New World Order. And presidents go and play golf and cut red ribbons, folks. It's CEOs and chairmen and top strategists that run things. And do you know who those top strategists are? They're the Rand Corporation. They're people like Zbigniew Brzezinski. They're the Carnegie and Ford Foundation. You want to name names? It's come out in congressional hearings. The Carnegie Foundation has been running the country since the early 60s. They were pretty much in control before that. And that's why Eisenhower came in and said, there is a technocratic elite taking over with the military-industrial complex. They've got to be stopped. Somebody drops a book in the background. You hear a slam and the president jumps. Because it's come out in the president's papers that he was deeply disturbed and didn't go with the speech they'd written for him. He went out there and said, beware the military-industrial complex and the rest of the quote, the technocrats that control it. Because even by then, they had come in and said, we want to blow up stuff. We want to blame it on foreign enemies. We want to start World War III. We'll use the nuclear war as an excuse to put martial law in. We're going to re-engineer humanity, and we're going to use this Nazi plan for a euro. And Eisenhower went, no. By the way, this has all been declassified. Pieces here, pieces there. He said no to Northwoods. They brought it to Kennedy a year later. He fired a bunch of them. And I'm not romanticizing Dwight D. Eisenhower. The point is that he didn't want to end humanity. He had grandkids. He didn't want to be part of a Nazi plan that was really a British plan. Hitler just got a eugenics plan from the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, funded in the 20s and the 30s by the Rockefellers. This is all mainline history, folks. This is why this is happening. That's why this train takes us to a bad place. We need to get off the train. We need to stop the train. We need to dismantle the train. We need to be on a new plan. I don't want to be governed by this. They think you're so pathetic that they have taken our rights and say they spy on us for al-Qaeda when they've run al-Qaeda and created al-Qaeda, and now they've turned multiple countries over to al-Qaeda. And the president and leaders in council in Egypt 2 days ago said, we're preparing for war with Israel and the U.S. while the U.S. gives them F-16s to do it. And you go, why? Is Obama a Muslim? No, he's not a Muslim, folks. Sure, he goes and tells him he is. He went to a madrasa. He was trained as a Muslim, but that's his ultimate cover to cause the clash of civilizations that the September 20th, 2000 PNAC document repeated. It's a decades-older plan to create a clash of civilizations between the decadent Christendom, the West, and Islam to destroy both in that cataclysm, out of which a one-world religion and mega-tyranny will flow. This is the reality that I'm telling you. I'm begging you. And many of you, many university PhDs, many scientists I've talked to, they have now come to the realization, listening to this broadcast, they go, yes, we were taught eugenics, we were taught the master plan. It's true, we've been taught we're the elect elite. There will be a global government established. There will be bioweapon plagues released. Go talk to any university biology head, and if you talk to them calmly and bring this up, they'll say, where did you get this information? That's classified. This is the plan. But now those university heads have got their kids dying, their wife dying young. They're going, wait a minute. The binary weapon systems have been put into the food and water. We're all being targeted as well. That's because they're not going to kill 80%, and then 20% of you are going to go to Alpha Centauris. They're going to kill everyone. That's what they're telling you, and good people in Hollywood, because there's a revolt in Hollywood, are telling you. I've since talked to people that were involved in films like Oblivion. But the Tet is not an alien force. It's a group of humans who see themselves as a split off of humans and have this master plan. The Tet is the Pentagon. The Tet is the New World Order. The Tet is the artificial technocracy that's already 30 years past us. That's why they're so arrogant. They've got bioweapons that will kill every human on Earth. No one has immunity. They have stuff, and again, I'm not trying to scare you folks. The only hope we've got is to have a total human awakening in the human survival instinct. That's why they implant violence in television to condition you it's okay. It's why they tell you humans are bad and ugly and a scourge and teach you it's cool to be self-destructive. So at a subconscious level, you will suppress your hardwired programming to survive, to adapt, to overcome. And they're using your adaptiveness to adapt to your own destruction. They're using your adaptiveness against you to incrementally bring in tyranny so you accept it and slowly die. But I am here consciously on air with this emergency transmission asking you to flip the levers in your own subconscious mind to tell yourself, I am in combat. I am under attack. I need a brain boost. I want to become conscious. And your brain will start flipping the switches. Flip. Flip, 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 flip. Get into war mode, ladies and gentlemen. Get into survival mode, and we'll beat these people. Their program is already not going well because of the adaptedness of humans. You understand? It might as well be an alien force, ladies and gentlemen, that we face. And again, their arguments have a lot of validity at certain points about toxic waste systems, dirty industry. There are too many people in certain sectors in biospheres that can't handle it. There are destructive forces in our economy that are wasteful. But then you learn the globalists did all of that to ensure the collapse and the calamity because their full spectrum dominance, they are balancing both of these. But I've studied their operation. They're not even really balancing it. And I can see that their eugenics program, a 160-year-old plan, has not adapted, even if you wanted to agree with them, and is going to end up destroying them as well, because the secret of the universe is what comes around goes around. You reap what you sow. You can call it karma, but I don't mean that in the Hindu fashion. What you do comes back on you. What others do comes back on them. It's all interconnected, and the establishment, I know, is having a debate right now and realizing this, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You need to make the decision to choose reality. You need to make the decision to choose the truth, or we have no future. Now, let me blitz through as much news as possible. Document cam, please, for TV viewers watching on prisonplanet.tv. For radio listeners, I'll be giving you the headlines so you can pull this up for yourself. USA Today, cover of it. Syrian rebels pledge loyalty to al-Qaeda as Obama announces billions more in high-tech weapon systems. Just remember that when the TSA wants to stick their hands down your wife's pants. Arrest Obama under NDAA for supporting terrorists in Syria. We list the federal law, though unconstitutional, the code. I mean, just think of the hiding in plain view, that the government runs al-Qaeda. Obama is the global head of al-Qaeda publicly. But meanwhile, they're announcing that al-Qaeda is not the threat now, it's the Tea Party. Man behind Syrian chemical weapons claim is a fiction writer who ran Benghazi cover-up. White House makes miraculous discovery to distract from domestic scandals. Also Infowars.com. Here's Breitbart. Obama administration considers resettling thousands of Syrian refugees in the U.S. Yeah, kind of like they brought in, was it 30,000 Iraqi Republican Guard pre-trained by the CIA when Saddam was our ally to be involved as the backup team to blame if they couldn't go with the right-wing group. They had groups of Iraqis ready to blame. That was even on local news. Just like the same program with the Zarnev brothers. Same program. I mean, they just got a shake and bake. Like, how do you make these pancakes? Oh, you just add milk to these. It's got everything in it. I mean, it's like, it's a shake and bake. I mean, it's stuff's elementary, folks. Rand Paul, that way they can blow everything up with the good. They're going to bring tens of thousands of al-Qaeda here, and they'll probably be in police uniforms before you know it. I'm not joking, by the way. Rand Paul, your taxes fund regimes that kill Christians for blasphemy against Islam. Yep, there's Rand Paul. Is Obama starting a war with Syria just to distract us from the scandals? Yes, the war has already been going on. It should be already a 2-year war now going public as distraction. Now they're just going to use it as a false flag and expand it. With scandals raging at home, Obama conveniently discovers chemical weapons used in Syria with no proof. These are just complete liars. Huffington Post, quagmire, U.S. arms to Syria. Goes on. Video game cash Tea Party Patriot groups as enemy terrorist. Every major shoot-'em-up game I've looked at, the new ones coming out, are right-wingers blow everything up and have to be arrested and put in FEMA camps or executed or tortured. I mean, there's more than 8 different games out currently, all the big top sellers, where, and of course, every time before there's a war, they have a video game. It's all pre-programmed. They're getting ready to maybe even nuke a city and say, Patriot military did it. That's the kind of stuff in these games. So just get ready. Just get ready, okay? The pre-programming is the proof of who's going to do it. I mean, only a moron wouldn't see this, okay? But I guess the public, again, is not moronic. You're in a trance. Let's continue. U.S. Syria used chemical weapons crossing red line. CBS News, absolute balderdash, poppycock, bunk, fraud, scam, just over-the-top ridiculous lies. Bravo Sierra. Continuing, U.S. plans $50 million a day, no-fly zone in Syria after finding proof of government-used chemical weapons. Oh, and then there was WMDs in Iraq, too. By the way, Syria has their chemical weapons legally and lawfully. U.S. uncovering on Syrian chemical weapons, unconvincing, says Russia. And Russia's got troops there right now in the proxy war, some of the Iranians. People are like, good, let's kill them Ruskies. With al-Qaeda? By the way, the West blinked on 888 when they invaded Abkhazia and South Ossetia and Georgia and then said that Russia had invaded. Total fraud now in the history books. And then Russia just rolled in medium-range nukes and said, we're going to start nuking NATO bases. And the Russians had the target. Russians are not known to bluff. And you can tell they were all swigging vodka at the same time, and the West backed off. I mean, this is the type of lunacy that's going on here. And look, the globalists weren't ready at that time, but if you listen to Joel Scalzo, who I agree with, they want a nuclear war. That's what they're digging in for. By the way, cops and FBI agents, you're not going to get access to the bunkers. Go out, take your kids outside and get a suntan all when it happens, huh? Huh? And you can say I'm right once that happens, huh? How's that sound? No, I'd rather you wake up now. I mean, how much more does it have to get obvious here? Al-Qaeda-linked group Syrian rebels once denied, now key to Assad victories, McClatchy newspapers. Oh, my goodness. Oh, do I get apologies from all the neocons? No, no. No, I'm the bigger enemy now. I'm the big enemy. Report, Syrian rebels execute a 14-year-old boy for insulting Islam. Washington Post. But it's okay for the Huffington Post to show a dog's rear end and say it's Jesus. I'm going to get to that when we come back. And we're going to get into the NSA spying and what's really happening with it, the rest of the story. I'm Alex Jones. Spread the word about our Twitter account, Real Alex Jones, for updates. Spread the word about Infowars.com. You know what I am? I'm an American. I'm an organic, stay behind, sleeper cell of liberty here in the United States. And I don't get any orders from any government or any individual. I get mine from history and the good Lord above. And that's who you are, ladies and gentlemen, as well. We're going to beat this by identifying the enemy, by never stopping, by discrediting them, and by hating their guts, but loving our families 10 times more than we hate the enemy, by spitting on them spiritually, by absolutely just taking every opportunity we can to degrade the enemy. We're going to win. You know, there's a headline out that Congress has the lowest approval rating ever in a Gallup poll of 10 points. There was actually one a few years ago of 9%. But listen, these crooks are trying to gut this country right now. And when you get somebody like Peter King coming out and saying, arrest the reporter now, arrest London Guardian and Washington Post reporters and people that broke the story of NSA spying, that is a tyrant. I mean, Lindsey Graham's out there saying the bloggers and the web don't deserve to even be online. These people are outrageous, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now moving into the NSA spying, Bloomberg, U.S. agency said to swap data with thousands of firms. Yeah, like Bloomberg. Thousands of firms. Ladies and gentlemen, the firms take all the data on their customers, everybody, and give it to the NSA. And then the other firms do it, and they all share it and team up as giant gangs against everybody else. I know for a fact Bloomberg knew things about what was going on with me and what was going on in telecommunications issues that I haven't announced yet that I know they had to get from the government. In a hit piece they did a week ago on us. And I hadn't even gotten into that yet. I mean, it's not just a few analysts spying on people. It's the Fortune 100 that go to Bilderberg. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they're doing. That's what this is all set up for. So how many times, thousands of times, I've told you it's about economic espionage. And here it is, Bloomberg. Let's continue here. Next article. This is out of Business Insider. It finally comes out. Elite traders are getting access to data before everybody else via all this NSA garbage. Of course they are. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all rigged. State Department has hired agents with criminal records, memo reveals. A large percentage of them are hardcore felons. Of course they are. Stalin, Hitler, Mao, they all open the jails up and get these people. The government wants hardcore criminals. You don't hire naive college kids that think the government's good. They blow the whistle on you. You hire child molesters. You hire hitmen. You hire con men. The government is converting to pure criminals. That's the New York Post. Here's another one. 57% fear government will use NSA data to harass political opponents. A Rasmussen poll. Fear they will? It's admitted they use it on the media and people. I get phone calls probably once a year with a blank phone screen. I've talked to telecommunications people. That means it's from the national security level, in control of the switches, threatening me and saying what I was just talking about, so I know it's the government. It probably isn't the government. It's probably one of these corporations. This is America, okay? Grow up. Grow up out there and stop being naive. And don't let this scare you. You better be scared of not standing up. Just like a woman getting grabbed in some parking lot by a serial killer. She better fight back and try to get away from him. That's her only shot. Instead of getting scared and getting in the vehicle with them. We need to not get in the vehicle with a New World Order. All right, former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura is scheduled in the next segment. And I'm going to get more into what it means to be in a proxy war with Russia, where the United States is allied with Al-Qaeda. And now they've already got their police state in place. So they go, oh, it isn't for Al-Qaeda now. We're going to set up checkpoints to search your vehicles, stick our hands down your pants, and take DNA on the side of the road without warrants, because conservatives and Tea Party people are terrorists. And they're like, yeah, no, you're right. Yep, you're right, Alex. You told them 12 years ago that they would flip it and target them. And we are. And by the way, we're buying thousands of armored vehicles a month, and we're building bunkers, and we're spying on you. And yeah, you bet the big contractors do run child kidnapping rings. It's in the Chicago Tribune, and nobody's getting in trouble, Alex. I mean, it is just in everyone's face. And we're going to get rid of the borders, and we're going to bring in 30 million people and give them welfare. And that, guess what, Alex? That's going to bankrupt things even faster. And then you're going to pay for it. How's that sound? And then all those people are going to think the government's their friend, and they're going to vote to take the guns, Alex. And then everybody can be slaves, just like in Mexico. How's that sound, Alex? And guess what else we're going to do, Alex? We're going to forcibly sterilize little girls in Mexico, Alex. Well, don't do that. See, it's racist to not want to have a totally open borders in a bankrupted, collapsing society. But if you want to sterilize all the Mexican girls, then that's liberal. See how that works? They have got it all figured out, folks, how they sell you one thing and it's another. Like a cape with a bull. See the cape? And right behind it's a sword. You go for the cape and get a sword run right up in the middle of you. And, I don't want my society having a sword run up in it. I want to try to build a better civilization. Let's go back to these articles. So, U.S. agency said to swap data with thousands of firms that is used for economic espionage, that's used for being able to track their competition. It's used to steal people's inventions and data. Isn't that just precious? That's how the New World Order is. It's not enough to have all the free money they give themselves of taxpayer money with all the banker bailouts and corporate welfare and the fiat money and derivatives. No. Now they get to do all that, which they've been doing for decades. And then again, here's Business Insider. Elite traders are getting access to data before anyone else. The stock market's totally fake and rigged. Next, you're going to say Las Vegas is corrupt. Next, you're going to say a hooker really doesn't love you when you pay her $100. Next, you're going to say a hooker dressed up like Marilyn Monroe isn't really her with that blonde wig. I mean, next you're going to say the sky isn't black. State Department hiring agents with criminal records. Memo reveals how loving, thousands and thousands of them. And they say it's an accident, but no one will be let go. Yeah, it's an accident. They hire pedophiles to be the managers at every TSA major station that keeps coming out. Just defrocked priests and people and stuff like that. You know what? Normal people want to grope little kids all day. Yeah, right. It's all about what will these people put up with. And the answer is they'll put up with anything, boss. And I love how the TSA looks at you and goes, would you like a private screening? Oh, yeah, I want to go behind closed doors while you grab my genitals. People are like, big deal, let them grab your genitals. Really, if you do that to somebody in a park, you go to prison for 5, 6, 7 years. But it's like, we're doing it because of the Bin Laden. Hey, that's a good one, Bob. The Bin Laden, the CIA guy. And now the government runs Al-Qaeda publicly. But look at these schmoes. They line up and they do whatever we tell them because Obama might blow up the plane if we don't. Oh, yeah. And you might get sick if you don't take the vaccine either, because sure, the government did thousands of secret tests and killed people, but we should trust them, They brought 30,000 Nazis back to the U.S. to set up everything after World War II, but so what? Take the shots. Who needs to live anyway? Take it. It's good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now into hour number 2. I'm your host, Alex Jones. The websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. You can follow me at Twitter there at Real Alex Jones. There is so much to get into. Wow. Look at this headline out of Bloomberg. U.S. agency said to swap data with thousands of firms, and it's admitted that the Fortune 100 is using all your data to fix the stock market and to fix interest rates and to spy on their competition. That's what I was told by NSA whistleblowers more than 15 years ago, and now it's out in the mainstream news today. We're going to talk to former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura about all these articles for the balance of the hour coming up in just a moment. State Department has hired agents with criminal records, thousands of them on purpose. 57% fear government will use NSA data to harass political opponents. They're already doing that to the AP and others. I mean, I guess 57% are informed. And I want to go back to a New York Times article from 2002, Total Information Awareness, where they bragged that they were already spying and sharing everything with the major corporations. So we're going to be breaking that down as well. And we're going to get Jesse Ventura's take on it. I mean, everything we've talked about is now coming out in the open. Like this breaking news. Not breaking to this audience. We've told you for 27 months what's happening in Syria, over 3 years in Libya. Look at this headline, USA Today. Syrian rebels pledge loyalty to al-Qaeda. And they go on to admit the main force is al-Qaeda. They've already given them $1 billion of U.S. money, and now they're going to do a no-fly zone and start bombing the country to overthrow Assad, who's done nothing to anybody. Al-Qaeda-linked group. Syrian rebels once denied, now key to Assad victories. McClatchy News. Arrest Obama under NDAA for supporting terrorists in Syria. That's what their unconstitutional law says, so he should have himself arrested. That is just some of the news. So we're being told WMDs again by a country that legally and lawfully has them. And we told you a year ago with our Syrian guest on the show that they were going to do a false flag blaming Syria for chemical weapons use. And that is what Syria is saying. Unbelievable. Well, his latest book is DemoCRIPS and ReBLOODlicans, bestseller. We sell all of his books at InfoWarsStore.com. And giving viewers a first look, here's the new cover of what's coming out in October, and I really like it. They killed our president. And it goes over 63 facts that prove a conspiracy to kill JFK. This is the 50th anniversary. They've said no one allowed in the big park at Dealey Plaza, but people that agree with the official story for the first time. So I'm going to be there with thousands demonstrating for the First Amendment. And I've invited Jesse Ventura to be there with us. He is considering it. And Gov, you've been gone about 5-6 months. It's great to have you back. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be here. I'll tell you, I enjoyed my time in Mexico. I didn't watch television from January 2nd until about a couple weeks ago.
I've seen you when you get back from Mexico. You look 10 years younger.
I feel 10 years younger, too. You know what I did down there this year that was life-changing?
What was that?
My wife and I, we took a 500-mile trip to this lagoon, and you got to go about 100 miles off the main road through this rough road to get there. And the Mexicans in a small boat took us out into this lagoon, and the gray whales will come up to you, and you can sit in the boat and actually physically touch them.
Wow.
And mothers bring up their babies, and they actually lift them up. And I actually put my hands inside the whale's mouth and scratched their gums.
You told me you were going to break a life-changing event here on air. That is amazing.
I'll tell you, Alex, I can't describe. And when you look into their eyes, you see nothing but intelligence. And again, they approach you. You don't go to them. You go out there, and then they will come up to you. In this lagoon, there must have been at least 30 of them.
That is just magic. Can you believe people ever hunted those?
Well, I'll tell you, I was so moved. I thought with my old frogman experience, I was ready to join those guys that go disable the ships that kill them, because I got trained by the best. I know how to disable ships. That ain't a problem.
Tell us how you sabotage the propellers and rudders.
No, because then they'll be able to defend against me. But no, it was, getting back to a more serious note, it was really something. I mean, we had one mother and her calf. She was 40 feet long, literally twice as long as our boat, and they must have stayed with us for an hour and 15 minutes.
From what I've seen of the physiology, they're basically the equivalent of like German shepherds.
I don't know. There's certainly, well, what it showed me, Alex, is this. Clearly they can communicate with each other. Because why would a mother, any mother of any animal with the instinct, is not going to bring their children up to something that endangers them? So clearly they know in this particular lagoon with the Mexicans, they know they're in no danger. And it was unique for me because I never felt any danger or any fear. There's just an aura about it that these big, massive, giant mammals that live in the water present no harm to you. They're actually curious to see what we are.
In fact, they say that dolphins have the biggest brain of any mammal, cc size for their body weight, and they think they may be even smarter than humans.
Well, back when I was in the Navy, we were already using, there was a small program the underwater demolition teams had. I wasn't part of it, but I had a couple buddies that worked on it for a while. They were actually using dolphins in underwater work to where they had the dolphins would go to the surface and get the correct tool and bring it back down to them.
Well, look.
And they also used them for mines and things like that in harbors.
Well, I've got to say that I don't blame those killer whales locked up in cages that are the equivalent of like a 100-square-foot prison cell. I don't blame them when they end up killing their trainers. That is incredibly inhumane.
That's a great segue, Alex, because I'll comment on that and say, wait a minute, that's what our government wants to do to you and I. They want to lock us in cells to keep us safe.
Absolutely, the whole nanny state. Break it down.
No, I mean, it's like the joke, the cartoon I saw, where a mother, a father, and the two children are sitting at the dinner table, and they're all exclaiming, gee, I feel safe now. The only thing is they're locked inside a cell.
Well, that's what Eisenhower said. He said total safety is total tyranny.
Exactly.
It's prison.
It's like Ben Franklin said, for those that want to give up their liberty for security shall have and deserve neither.
Well, shifting gears into that, it's now out that everybody's being listened to, everything's being recorded, and thousands of corporations get contracts to give all your data to the government, and then they get to share it. And I've had telecom whistleblowers say that they can just dial in anybody's phone, turn it on, listen to you. It's all confirmed. Everything we talked about now proven right. Al-Qaeda run by the government, now admitted. Do we get an apology, Governor?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't think so, Alex. We deserve one. Or we deserve the mainstream media to say to us, geez, you guys were right. You know what bugs me about it? Lindsey Graham and Feinstein and all these are telling the public that we need this to fight terrorism. Well, what they're saying to me and to every American is that they think you and I are terrorists. Because why do they need to listen in on my phone calls and my emails to fight terrorism? I'm not a terrorist.
What do you make of Congressman Peter King saying arrest the Washington Post reporter that talked to Snowden? That's A. And then B, I think Snowden's a hero. What do you say?
I do too. Because the thing to remember is all people like that and the military, you take an oath to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if somebody's asking you to do something that you feel violates the Bill of Rights, well, you shouldn't do it. And that's what these whistleblowers are doing. They're simply telling us the government lied to you. And yet, who's going to get prosecuted? Bradley Manning and him. They prosecute the messenger. Now, how can they prosecute them when it's the government and other entities that are committing crimes and you're reporting them?
That's right. And when they reported Fast and Furious within the ATF, they got in trouble. So you can't report within the chain because you've got criminals running the chain. Well,
clearly it goes that deep in this country. People need to understand, like when I made the statement, I love my country but not my government. Bad people, government is nothing but people. And bad people can get in charge. If you don't believe it, read about Germany in the 30s.
Well, that's another...
Bad people getting in charge. And then, of course, we brought so many I read books this last winter about all the Nazis we brought into this country that should have stood trial at Nuremberg. Instead, we brought them in here and gave them positions of authority.
Oh, my grandfather worked all over the Southwest in oil and gas, and the only places to go eat or stay were military bases a lot of the time in New Mexico, Arizona, West Texas. And he told me when I was a child, he almost got in fights all the time and got thrown out by MPs because he'd go into the restaurant and there'd be full of Nazis and SS. And he was part German growing up in Dallas, so he could speak some German, and he'd hear the obnoxious things they were saying about America, and it just blew him away. They were just crawling with Nazis.
Well, you know, when that happened, we can thank Alan Dulles and all those people that, you know, decided that they were better off here in this country and operating here than putting them on trial for Nuremberg. Look what we did. Look when I did conspiracy theory, and we found out that Eric Traub is the godfather of Plum Island, and this guy worked right underneath, I believe it was Himmler.
And Mengele.
Yeah, and his expertise was biological warfare, infecting ticks and mosquitoes with agents to kill people, and lo and behold, we end up with Lyme disease, the first recorded case in Lyme, Connecticut, right across the water from Plum Island.
It's just unbelievable. I think there's an article out today where they found a top Nazi living in Minnesota. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I don't watch the news, and I'm woefully ignorant. I don't read the paper, and I still haven't watched the news since I came home.
Yeah, top Nazi commander living in Minnesota since 1949. What do you think your dad would have thought of that?
Well, who knows? I don't know. Like I said, nothing surprises me anymore here.
It's totally creepy. I mean, and we know authoritarian regimes spy on people, and they always say it's for your own good.
Alex, are we being sabotaged? I'm getting a whole bunch of interference over the line.
I did just hear some of that.
I'm not hearing you clearly now.
Okay, Governor, we're gonna call you back and to reconnect. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up. Call me back.
All right, call him back. Actually, I got a call by a very famous spy yesterday, going, "Alex, we're monitoring you. Everything's fine, Alex," because we were just talking about him. The phone rings, and he goes, "Yes, we're monitoring you, Alex. You're too high." And I was like, "What?" And then his phone crackles and cuts out. And he calls back and he goes, "And they're monitoring me." Can you imagine who it was I'm talking about? And he talks like that. It's probably just a bad phone line. That's probably all it is. Now, if they break on the line and say something to us, then we'll know the difference. But it is certainly a crazy world. I just skipped this network break because when I get Jesse on, I always just enjoy talking to him so much. We're getting Governor Ventura back on the line right now here with us. But, yeah, guys, just call him back on the same phone line. It's fine. All right, we don't need to make a big deal out of it. It's probably just a bad line. All right? Or give me his number. I'll dial it if you want. All right, folks. Again, we're here Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the news websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And we have the nightly news and then all my films and so much more at PrisonPlanet.tv. And why is it called Prison Planet? We're fighting the globalist construction of the whole world being a prison that Governor Ventura was just talking about. And the criminals that run both major parties are the DemoCRIPS and the ReBLOODlicans, and that's the name of his latest book, available at InfoWarsStore.com. So be sure and shop with the good guys. And we've got Pro Pure water filters, 10% off with promo code WATER, the best gravity-fed filters out there. Governor Jesse Ventura joins us again. Is that better, Governor?
Yeah, it's better, but still a little interference. I'm getting you clear right now.
Okay, that's good. What do you make of it being openly said, okay, Al-Qaeda's the main force, something we talked about last year, and they are killing the Muslims, the minority groups, and the Christians and the Jews, but that's okay because Assad's a bad guy. Why do you think they're getting so bold? I mean, the agenda's out in the open, but they just move forward.
It's all baffling to me, Alex. I'm still trying to figure out why we don't just get the hell out of the Middle East. I mean, if you look at history, Anglo-Saxon European history, Christopher Columbus came here, and when he sailed here, it was to find a way to India to avoid the Middle East. So centuries ago, nobody wanted to go there. They wanted to avoid it. And Columbus was willing to sail off the flat earth at that time to take the chance to do it. Let's get the hell out of there. I mean, completely. I don't get it. I'll tell you what. If I run for president, I will follow the teachings of Major General Smedley Darlington Butler, who wrote the book War is a Racket, the two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner. So anybody who wants to know my foreign policy, read General Butler's book and you'll know it.
Talk about running for president. I mean, I've got a sneaking suspicion you're going to do it. Are you 30%, 50%, 80% sure you're going to run?
No, I laid the gauntlet down. Here's what it'll take, Alex. It'll take, because I hate the bribery and raising the money, it'll take a grassroots movement to get me ballot access in all 50 states, and they will have to guarantee me we'll rise up and rebel if I'm not allowed in the debates, because you got to debate to win. And if those two criteria are met, I will give it serious consideration. But, and here's what I will run on. I will run on the simplest thing you can imagine. I will give the American people, for the first time since George Washington, the father of our country, the opportunity to vote for a president that doesn't belong to either political party and is not bought off by corporate money or special interest PAC money. And I will run on that issue alone, and I truly believe in a three-person race where you only need about 36% to win. I would stand a very good chance.
Well, I think you do stand a really good chance with Congress with a 10% approval rating. My issue is this. Why didn't the Libertarians approach you in the last cycle? Nothing against their candidate, but does anyone even remember their name?
Yeah, their last candidate was Gary Johnson. I campaigned for him because I didn't want to run, Alex. The point is you got to pick your battle. 2016 is the most opportune time because there'll be no incumbent.
No, I agree with you. And of course,
for the independent movement when Obama won re-election. Because if Romney would have won, then you'd have an incumbent in 2016. You have to have an election with no incumbent.
Sure, absolutely. Sure. I mean, of course, I see.
That would be the reason I didn't want 2012 alone, because I don't do it to lose. I do it to win. And I don't do it just to make a statement.
No, I remember.
2016 is the best opportune time, and that's why I laid the gauntlet down. People got 2 years to get me ballot access, but I don't care. I don't want the Libertarian Party. I want to run with no political party.
No, I remember you last year explaining all that. I was being sarcastic. I like Gary Johnson overall. I just meant he didn't get hardly any attention. We tried to give him attention, but people would have given attention to Jesse Ventura, and I think it may have made more of a statement than you think it would. But I agree with you. The magic number is 2016 to ever have somebody who's not part of the system run for president. But we've talked about this. Do you think that they would come after you with more than just smears?
Well, of course, I don't know what they do, but, it all depends what you're polling. I mean, if you're polling 2%, they're going to ignore you. But if you all of a sudden are polling 20% or better, well, then mainstream media and the two parties, they're going to come at you with both guns loaded. You'll see them team up on you. All of a sudden, Democrats and Republicans will become bosom buddies when it comes to a third entity. But my belief is, what the hell more can they do to me, Alex? Nothing. They've already tried to marginalize me, and they tell the world I'm crazy and all that stuff, but we know better than that. And the point is, I would go into the race pretty cavalier, really. Because, I have nothing to lose, do I?
No.
There you go.
The only way you'd lose is by not taking action, because you could win, but regardless, you'd inject real issues. So either way you win by running. The only way you lose is by not running.
Well, and again, but I want some proof that the American people are going to stand with me, and the only way I see that is they're going to have to do a grassroots effort in all 50 states to get me on the ballot, get me ballot access.
So it's now time for people to organize, and then you will step into the arena.
When I see that I've got ballot access, if I get it in all 50 states, I will give it very serious consideration. But that's what it'll take. So I figure I'll still be living in Mexico.
Well, you better be ready, obviously, for more.
I'll be ready, but the point is, it ain't going to happen. I don't believe it will. I think they've been drinking too much water. They got too much Prozac in their bodies to care. Not enough of them.
People ask why Americans put up with so much. Our IQs have dropped about 20 points just from the hydrofluorosilicic acid, the roundups on record causing breast cancer to skyrocket, and we're all just basically narcotized, dying. We've been hit with a chemical attack, so you can't get mad at the public, Governor. They're victims.
They are victims, but again, you know, like I said, Alex, I'm not going to do it on my own. I got to have the people with me, and I need some sign that they will be, and that's the perfect way. Let me see ballot access in all 50 states. They got 2 years to do it.
Let's talk about how people can organize that on the other side. Get into your lawsuit that continues against Chris Kyle to get your name back, and so much more, and some phone calls for former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. His show still airs with huge audiences on True TV, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. And we'll tell you about his new book that's coming out. 800-259-9231 is the toll-free number to join us to talk to Jesse Ventura. Monday through Friday, we're here, folks. We're live. I'll be back live this Sunday. I was live from England last Sunday. But I'll be live in studio, Father's Day. That's what I'm going to do for Father's Day, is fight for my children's future. 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time with the Sunday broadcast. InfoWars Nightly News, of course, tonight live, 7 o'clock Central. And if you've got a membership to InfoWars News, to PrisonPlanet.tv, 11 people can log in with the same username and passcode. So make sure you've got a username and passcode you can share, and something that isn't to your other codes. Create a unique one and give it to friends and family and give them the gift of waking up. Incredible films, high-def, nightly news, it's all there. 18 years of work, PrisonPlanet.tv. Become a subscriber today and get Jesse Ventura's powerful book. You may be awake that the DemoCRIPS and ReBLOODlicans are working together, like they're all circling the wagons right now, saying arrest the whistleblower, arrest the media. Boner is saying it's evil to report on crimes. It's disgusting. You may know this, but this book is a powerful read and great to give to mainline Democrats and mainline Republicans to deprogram them. And we've got the book discounted at InfoWarsStore.com, so you support the Gov and our media operation all at the same time, InfoWarsStore.com. And I want to thank all of you for supporting the broadcasts and our sponsors, because you know I've hired a bunch of reporters. I'm building a bigger TV studio. We're going up on satellite. We've got all these big plans thanks to you supporting us and spreading the word about the broadcast as well. Governor, we got a bunch of callers that want to talk to you. The toll-free number to talk specifically to Jesse Ventura, folks, is 800-259-9231. If you have a question, a comment, 800-259-9231, and we will get you up and on the air with the governor. But I don't want to hog him too much, but he won't be back with us till the book comes out in October, and he's promised us to come on first when he does those interviews. But expanding on what we were just talking about, dealing with the NSA and dealing with both parties circling the wagons and Congress having a 10% approval rating. I mean, this just can't go on forever, Governor. What scenarios, you're a pretty politically savvy guy, what scenarios do you see unfolding?
Well, I don't see any change naturally coming out of the two parties. They're going to come forward. I think we're going to end up with probably Hillary Clinton and maybe Jeb Bush.
Ugh.
Or some, maybe, Chris Christie might sneak in there or whatever. But nothing's going to change as long as the two parties continue to control our government. People that think you're going to have change are sadly mistaken. I mean, Obama ran on complete opposite of George Bush, and yet when he got in office, he's rubber-stamped George Bush's policies and just carried on right forward. That's all you're going to get, no matter which side wins. So the real revolution in this country has to come by stop electing them. And is that feasible? Probably not. Because the people just, I don't know why. Like you talked about them having only a 10% approval rating, yet over 90% of them get reelected.
I agree with what you're saying, and there's a clip we'll play in a few minutes of Ralph Nader saying Obama may be the greatest con artist in history. Because with Bush, he would pretty much say what he was going to do, and it was atrocious to watch unfold. But with Obama, it's like his bombs are love bombs. His secret arrests are loving. Everything he does is...
because he's a Democrat.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
you on the back while they're doing it. The Republicans kind of kick you right in the knee when they do it. The Democrats sidle up to you and put their arm around you, but they do the same thing.
It's disgusting. Speaking of you running for president, I mean, hand out marching order specifics of what you'd like to see so you could run. And then I want to make the point, I mean, I'll make it now and get your comment. When I talk about dirty tricks and looking out, people that ask you to run better be ready to support you whatever happens, because they already said you were in a fight with police basically when you weren't even in California. And it looks like it was Hulk Hogan, in an argument with police. They already said that you were outside a bar, saying, down with the Navy, SEALs, I'm glad they're dead. And so that's what I wanted to ask you. First off, Chris Kyle, how bizarre is it that he gets killed like that in very suspicious circumstances? And where is the lawsuit going right now?
Well, it is bizarre. I didn't learn about it over the internet when I was in Mexico. The lawsuit is that the way the law works now is his wife becomes the executor of his estate, so I'm forced to sue her, which I have done. Now, again, I have no beef with her at all, but that's the procedure you have to follow. And none of the attorneys on that side will offer an apology or will speak the truth. So we're heading to court, I guess, and I'm fully prepared to go. That would actually be the best for me, because when a jury and a judge find for me, then everyone in the world can do what it can to restore my reputation that he's tried to destroy and I don't know what reason. I've been cheated too, because I certainly want him alive so we can put him on the stand, and I'd like to know why he tried to throw me under the bus.
Well, he was
simply because I oppose the Iraq War, which any citizen has a right to do that.
Well,
I don't know, but so I've been cheated too. But the procedure says that I have to move forward and bring the lawsuit against her. And I know Bill O'Reilly got on TV or something last week and looked into the camera and told me to do the right thing and drop the lawsuit. Well, of course he's going to say that, because he's part of News Corp, and News Corp is also part of this publishing company. And believe me, if I win this lawsuit, I'm coming after them next.
Absolutely. Look, I told you day one, they timed it right when you went over the border, knowing you don't have a cell phone, knowing it took you days to get out there so you couldn't respond. They were already putting out dirty tricks. I've been the victim of these as well. And they were already engaged in that to try to destroy you. He was put up to it to sell the books, undoubtedly. And then he's mysteriously killed when you start winning the court case. I mean, for those that don't know, you were winning. It's going forward. You have witnesses. He didn't. You're going to win this. Now he's dead, because he was involved in very high-level national security, shadowy operations, and bragged in his book that he told lies in the media and engaged in psyops. And my gut tells me, he said, look, I'm not going down for this. You guys need to admit you put me up to it, and they took him out.
Well, I don't know. I can't make any statements concerning that at all, Alex. I don't know. All I know is what that my main objective has always been, and I offered it to him a year ago, the first time I ever met him at a preliminary conference. All it would have taken then was an apology and to admit that the story didn't happen, and he wouldn't do it. And so now it's been a year later, and thousands upon thousands of lawyer dollars spent.
Sure.
And I'm so far into it now, I have to see it to the conclusion. So as far as I can tell you right now, we will go to trial. I feel confident. The evidence is what it is. It never happened. And if you can lose a trial where something didn't happen, well, then I know that the United States of America truly indeed has lost its moral compass.
Absolutely. We saw the good news with the Supreme Court ruling that they can't patent our genes and then not let us have our own genes as a treatment. But getting back to this, I just want to be a character witness here for you, getting to fly around with you, getting to know you over the last now 7-8 years. Time flies. The only time, and the truth is you're a big sentimental teddy bear, the only time I've seen you tear up is when you see troops in the airport or veterans or people with their arms or legs blown off. I've seen you repeatedly talk about, that's why I oppose the war, is because of what it does to my fellow people in uniform. Yeah, I know you're sentimental. Your dad won a bunch of battle stars in the Battle of the Bulge. You come from a military family, and I don't want to sit here and get sappy, But, I mean, that's why it's such an evil lie to say you'd go to a Navy SEAL commencement and then you'd say Navy SEALs deserve to die.
Well, Alex, that would also be suicidal. That would be the equivalent of going to the Hells Angels clubhouse and telling them they suck. You know, come on. And the point of the matter is that I view our soldiers and sailors and airmen as victims. You know, war happens because of failed politics. Politicians are the cause of war. The poor service people are just the tool they use, and they're victims also.
And your mother was in North Africa.
It's our job as the civilian population. If you disagree with a war, then it's your job to try to ensure that our young men and women don't go die in a war that you don't agree with. And I'll throw this out there. Now that it's been nearly 10 years, it has been 10 years, I still haven't figured out why we invaded Iraq.
Absolutely. It's just as a bottomless pit to make no-bid contracts.
Well, and the point is, what's been successful about it? What did we accomplish? What's changed? Nothing.
But big banks siphon trillions of dollars out of taxpayers.
Well, other than that, yeah, other than Halliburton getting rich, that's why I wrote the preface for a book they're bringing out. They're bringing out General Smedley Butler's anti-war book from the two-time Congressional Medal of Honor Marine.
They're republishing it?
They're redoing his book, Skyhorse, called War is a Racket, and I did the preface for it. And I think every kid in America should be required to read this book before they graduate from high school.
I've read it. It's a short, good book. We should carry that as soon as it comes out. We carry most of Skyhorse's great material at InfoWarsStore.com. Speaking of the book, you were telling me off air why you're doing this JFK book and that you want to make a statement about that.
Well, I'm doing the JFK book because, for my own selfish reasons, I want, for whatever, you know, whether anyone cares 100 years from now or not, I want them to know that the 38th governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, does not agree with the Warren Commission or the government's official story on the murder of John F. Kennedy. And the only way I felt I could really, truly do that is to write a book about it, and then it'll be definitive. Anyone that reads it will know that Jesse Ventura certainly does not believe what he was told by our government or the results of the Warren Commission.
Just briefly, getting back to Chris Kyle before we go to calls. Any way you slice it, it was bad luck to lie about you.
I don't know about that at all. All I know is that the story was not true. It never happened, and I will defend till the end. And I will seek out the only way that I can clear myself, and that's through our court system. And so I really hope people aren't angry at me because the media tries to make it look like I'm going after. It's never been about money. It's been about the truth, and the media makes it look like I'm going after this widow and her family now, this war hero. And that isn't the case at all. It's what I have to do to clear my name for the slanderous things of being called a traitor to my country.
Well, one of the worst ways to hurt somebody is to say you're glad troops are dying. I mean, exactly. And now they're telling you need to shut up after News Corps was with glee reporting that for months on air.
Yeah, exactly. And now Bill O'Reilly wants me to drop the lawsuit after he reports on it multiple times and poisons the public's mind over me. Now I'm supposed to do the right thing. Why won't he have me on to defend myself? There's a question. Your listeners, call Bill O'Reilly and ask him how come everybody gets to talk about this, but he won't let me on.
Let me tell you what he did to me 2 weeks ago. I never talk about sex stuff on the show. I haven't settled stuff for sexual harassment with people like he has. He plays a clip of me yelling about something completely different. It was about war, and says, this is the type of hate speech against women, and then has my face turn red on screen. And I'm telling you, these people are going crazy. I mean, there's something wrong with them. Because I've talked to lawyers who contacted me that I know, and they said clearly that's actionable, but I'm not going to do anything just because they discredit themselves. But it's just unbelievable. It seems like the whole world's going crazy, Jesse.
Well, not only that, Alex, but it's extremely expensive. When you bring litigation like I have, it costs a great deal. That's how, see, insurance companies are paying the other side, so it's truthfully me against the big insurance company or the publisher, not against the wife. And what they try to do is they try to run you out of money. You know, they wait until the 11th hour and hope that you'll go away and hope that public pressure will cause you to, you know, give up what you believe in, and they hope to run you out of money. And unfortunately, I have enough money that they can't run me out of it to get a case to court. And so we will go to court next in August, I guess.
Unbelievable. I've got a few other points I want to get to, but we'll cover that after we take calls. But any other points, things in the news, things that are happening, Governor Ventura, that you want to impart to our audience?
Oh, no, not really. You know, I'm just enjoying being back. I wish Tiger was doing a little better in the U.S. Open.
So you're rooting for Tiger?
Yeah. I want to see him come back and win another major because it'll slap all the pundits and all the media right in the nose.
Yeah, I don't get why he's choked so bad, but I think it was probably a narcissist and that kind of collapsed his worldview.
It doesn't choke, it's golf. Nobody chokes. It's a difficult game, Alex. You could have the wheels come off on any hole. If that club face is off by 1/16th of an inch, well, when you hit a 300-yard shot, that's 30
No, I know that, but he won so many, and now he's won none. I'm saying he's collectively...
No. He's won more this year than he ever has. He just hasn't won a major. He's won 5 tournaments this year, I think.
Well, he's definitely a wild man. Let's talk to Mike in Oregon. Mike, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. How's it going?
We're doing good. You got a question? We're good. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, for the governor. Sir, I could have swore you had mentioned on this show or earlier, perhaps maybe a year or so ago, about if you were elected president, you might actually consider legislation forcing Congress and senators and so forth, elected officials like that, preventing them from actually retiring. And I've been thinking about that, and if there was such a thing, would that not certainly reduce a great amount of corruption right off the bat?
Yeah, absolutely. There should never be a retirement for what they call public service.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That would bring you term limits without implementing them, because nobody's going to sit there and get elected for 25 years and not get a retirement from it.
And then you bring in people to government that aren't just there to try to feather their nest.
Exactly. You bring people in like it was designed. You go there to serve, and when you're done serving, you go back to what you used to do. It's a classic way to eliminate career politicians. That's why they won't do it.
Well, Governor, I think that if you go ahead and we make this happen for you, I think, honestly, that would be some great laws passed.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Well, remember, Mike, I can't pass a law. People need to understand that according to our Constitution. The president, although you'd wonder about it today, but the president can't pass a law, only the Congress.
That's right. So even if Ron Paul would have gotten elected, they would have tried to block him. So it's one step. Ron Paul, we're going to break, Governor, but Ron Paul, would you try to have him on your cabinet as an advisor if you won the presidency?
Oh, I certainly would love to have any participation Congressman Paul would give me, absolutely.
How about head of the Treasury?
Yeah, I'll make Ron Paul Treasury Secretary.
All right, final segment. All right, final segment with Governor Jesse Ventura. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, follow him at Facebook at Official Jesse Ventura. All right, Jesse Ventura leaves us here in about 6 minutes. I'm going to jam in a few more of your phone calls. I'll continue with calls. We've got a guest on about the immigration reform stuff. Governor, I was telling you were saying you had an incredible experience with these gray whales. And I was saying I didn't think Stonehenge would do anything. I was like, oh, it's boring. Why'd we go here? I walked across what they said was the ley line without them telling me. And I was like electrified. I felt like I was 18. And everybody else I was with felt it. My mother, when she was there a decade ago, said she felt that. And you told me a similar story.
Well, yeah, when I went to the pyramids, and when I was governor, I did a trade mission to Mexico, and they took me to the pyramids, and we walked to the top of the pyramids, and right at the top there was a group of Mexicans, maybe 3 or 4, who had their hand placed right on the center. And I inquired, I said, what are they doing? And they said, well, they believe the pyramid has energy, and the energy's transferring to them. So I thought, this is interesting. So I went over and I put my hand down there, and I left it there for about 10 minutes, and it's true. You know how I know it's true, Alex?
How?
Because I had way more energy going down the pyramid than I had coming up.
I bet. No, let me tell you, I'm not going to go, I got pretty excited. I mean, it was, and then
No, I know. That's a joke. I did have fun with that because I told my security that too. I said, God, this works. I said, I got way more energy going down this pyramid than I had going up it.
Exactly. But I mean, did you really feel the energy though?
No, I can't say that I did. I'm not going to tell you that I sat there and, all of a sudden, my ears perked up or I felt electricity going through my body. No, I did not. But it's not to say that it isn't true. There's a lot of things we don't know about in this universe that we
I mean, it's just a magnetic field. Exactly. I think it's it felt like when I was in a room with a big, at the Midwestern American Museum, they turned on the biggest above-ground Tesla coil, and you feel it. I mean, I felt that and knew what it was, and I felt something like that, and I think it's electricity coming out of the earth, kind of like the poles.
And always remember that you have a flow of electricity that goes through your body. That's what any acupuncturist taps into.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things we don't know and understand, and I think that in the old days, anything we didn't know or understand, we attributed to God. Well, today we understand a lot more things, so we don't necessarily attribute everything to Him.
Let's jam in a few more calls. Anthony in Miami, quick question for Jesse.
Hello, Mr. Governor. How you doing? I'm a big fan of yours, and I believe that you will be the greatest man to be president next. And I wanted to know, if elected president, would you prosecute the true perpetrators of 9/11?
Well, first of all, you would need to before you could prosecute anybody, you'd need to have a real investigation of it. That's where you have to start off, and an unbiased investigation. The thing people need to understand when all of these, the 9/11 Commission, the Warren Commission, and all that, they're always there to prop up the official story. And the reason that it's called the official story is generally it's to protect officials.
Absolutely. Let's jam in one more. Jonathan in New York, you're on the air with Ventura. Ask your question.
Hey, Jesse, man, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Quick question. I want to know your opinion. Do you think the American people will finally wake up with 9/11 if there was like an official whistleblower to blow that story apart?
Sybil Edmonds.
Probably not, because the mainstream media won't allow the whistleblower the light of day. I saw it this past fall in Chicago when Judith Ferry Baker came from Sweden. She was Lee Harvey Oswald's lover in New Orleans, and she can testify that she went to dinner with Jack Ruby and Lee Oswald on multiple occasions, and that Lee was a paid government agent.
Sybil Edmonds.
Yet she couldn't get any press there because they will not cover it, and I think the same thing would hold true at 9/11.
Yeah, people say if this was happening, people go public. Sybil Edmonds was at the NSA. She heard the government running the attacks. Governor, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Alex. We'll do it in the fall for sure. Have a good one, and hi to everybody down there in Austin.
All right, God bless you.
Bye-bye.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm sorry Ventura had to go, so I can't get to all your calls, but I'll take them right now. And I will play the part of Jesse Ventura, and then I will answer the questions for him. I'm being sarcastic. And then I'm going to get into all the big news after the break and more of your calls. 800-259-9231. Alex. This is Jesse Ventura hosting the Alex Jones Show. I'm a Navy SEAL, a fighter. He likes when I joke around. I'm just having fun here. I can make fun of myself, too. It's all in good jest, all in good humor. Casey in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey, Alex. I was actually, when you guys were talking about the pyramids, it's something very interesting about that. If you Google our start page on how to cut granite today, it comes up as a diamond saw. And yet they had all these granite that they cut in the pyramids that were perfect. So, anyways, that was an interesting fact.
They believe the Easter Bunny created the pyramids.
I was actually going to ask Jet. I don't know if you could answer this question for him, but
of course I can.
I was seeing if he actually received any death threats or anything while he was in office for speaking so much truth.
I'll have to ask him that next time, but he had all sorts of dirty tricks done against him.
And also, I was going to tell you, I was going to thank you again that that song I wrote, "The Republic Is Going to Rise Again," and that was actually inspired by you. I actually having a lot of good positive feedback. A lot of people on YouTube and iTunes have been downloading that, so I've got another one coming out, and I actually would like to get together, write some stuff on what's going on to wake some people up.
I hear you, Casey. Ventura's done some musical records. I think even doing one like Rowdy Piper. Look up Jesse Ventura records. Let's go to Rod in France. I visited France. Go ahead, Rod. You're on the air.
Yeah, Alex, I remember you speaking about your wife spending a lot of time in France. I was really hoping to get to see you in Watford, but I couldn't get off work to make it over there. I wanted to get on the train in the tunnel and go over and meet you in person. I'm a huge fan.
Well, God bless you, brother.
You are a patriot, a scholar, and a gentleman, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
I'm also a former governor.
Yes, you're also
Stop.
responding for, yes, Mr. Ventura, Alex Ventura. I wanted to repeat a quote that Obama had said, and then make a quote from Abraham Lincoln in response. I think everybody's heard what Obama said about if the people can't trust not only the executive branch, but also don't trust Congress, don't trust federal judges to make sure we're abiding by the Constitution, due process, rule of law, then we're going to have some problems here. And I just want to respond to that by quoting Abraham Lincoln. We, the people, are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. And I think that says a lot.
All right, well said, Rod. I wish you could have got your question to Ventura. You said you had to hear me doing silly imitations. Real fast, David in Minnesota. Minnesota. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
It's good.
My question is basically, the thing is, if everything can really be kind of squelched at the local level, why don't we have basically some kind of education just teaching every one of your listeners how to actually go get involved?
No, I agree. We should take over local government and then comply with none of the occupied federal government, and it's game over. People have to do that. They have to take it personal. If not...
But we need education. It's like, I don't know. I finally met somebody the other day that is locally involved. I'm like, hey, let's sit down. I need to learn how to do this.
Go start a group. If you're informed, people will get involved. And if you take action and are confident, you'll have huge change. Look how the globalists took over with their criminal action. We'll take over with liberty. I got to jump. Thanks for calling in. More calls coming up, wide open phones, and a ton of news, and a bunch of audio clips I haven't gotten to yet with Ron Paul warning about NSA spying in 1984. We'll be back, 800-259-9231. You have found it, the tip of the spear, the very front lines in the fight for human liberty worldwide. I am your host, Alex Jones. I'll be back this Sunday live on the radio, 4 to 6 p.m. Central with the syndicated broadcast. I want to thank all the great AM and FM affiliates. A lot of new affiliates joining us that are carrying the broadcast. I want to thank all of our old affiliates that have been so faithful over the years, like WBCR in Knoxville, Tennessee, and other fine stations. And don't forget, we also have free audio streams and video streams of the daytime show. It's a TV show, too, at Infowars.com/show. And then you can see the nightly news and all my films and so much more by being a subscriber. One membership for $5.95 is really 11 memberships. 11 people can be simultaneously logged in with the same username and passcode to prisonplanet.tv. And we could not be doing it without those of you that are prisonplanet.tv members, those of you that know that your family deserves good, clean, high-quality water filtration that purifies your water, like ProPure, discounted at InfoWarsStore.com. Spreading the word about the broadcast, getting new listeners. That's how we are expanding our operations in the face of the globalist. So I salute all of you that support us, including all of our sponsors and many, many others. Okay, where to begin here? I want to just get to a Ron Paul and Ralph Nader clip because I've been talking about them since the first hour and haven't gotten to them yet. But here's a clip where, and this is from September 6, 1984, when Ron Paul was first in Congress. Then the system came after and kicked him out of Congress, and he didn't get back in until 1996. I was already on air then, supporting Ron Paul, having him on when he was campaigning. That's how long I've been doing this. It's weird to start getting old. I'm not that old, but I've been in the war a long time, for 39, about to be 40. It is, I feel like a lot older than 39, I'm here to tell you, doing this really 20 years, but 18 on air. But the transcript's different. I mean, this was in 1984, but he says 1994, it sounds like, when he's giving the House speech. But back in 1984, well before most Americans had ever heard of mobile phones or used a computer, the federal government was hard at work mining whatever data they could get their hands on. Ross Perot helped them do that, by the way, with EDS. President Ronald Reagan was in office, and given his staunch stance on limited government, no one could possibly have speculated that he, of all people, would be the commander-in-chief presiding over a fledgling surveillance state. It was not fledgling, but it was the high-tech state was fledgling. By 1990, it's been partially declassified by James Bamford and others at ABC News at the time. And then later in the 90s, he reported on more, that everything was being keyword dated. Google is built on an NSA program of taking audio and doing keyword data. And then they just changed it to text. Google was the NSA search parameter and called Google at the NSA. That's super classified, what you just heard. And I actually had been told that by an NSA source. And then Wayne Madsen said on air the other day that Google was one of the names of the search programs. And, of course, he worked there. Or was that my other source? The point is, Google was the search program to search the audio files that had been turned into text files. So all they did was use that now to search text on the web. Do people understand that? And they just use the term Google because it's such a giant number. How many zeros is it? It's a massive number. The point is a Googleplex. So that's all Google is a 1990s NSA search tool. 1,000 zeros is a Google. That's why Al-Qaeda was just the name of this. This has been declassified by Robin Cook, leaked it and then died a week later of a suspicious heart attack, their foreign secretary over in England. But this has already been in the news, but he confirmed it, that Google was the CIA name of the computer program listing all the jihadi Wahhabist forces they had. It just means the base, the database. And so it was a joke with bin Laden. They called the group Al-Qaeda. Google's an NSA search file program. And again, they deploy it, take over the web with it, get everybody to opt into it, and then track everybody even more. And then give it to thousands of different companies. Man, I talked to an NSA guy. I'm not going to say anymore. It's so sick. No, I'm not going to say it, CJ, okay? And it's not that they're arresting people or that King wants the Washington Post reporter arrested, because they don't want to arrest me because it'll just turn me into a martyr. The whole point is I had these meetings with people back in the mid-90s. And I've had meetings with other people in Space Command who've choked once I've gotten them on air, or choked once I was about to get them on air. And it just doesn't even matter. I just can't believe the public is so naive. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't just get up here and say they're putting cancer viruses in your vaccines. You can go look that up and find mainstream articles. I don't just get up here and say that they've had studies for decades that, what is it, the glycosol, the base chemical in Roundup is like liquid breast cancer and testicular cancer. And then you wonder why it's all skyrocketing. I mean, it's people are saying, oh, you have so much courage. They might kill you. They might kill me. They're killing everybody. And most of the people serving the system will die young, and their kids will, and their wives and husbands, and they're just going to go along with it because they're on power trips working for the system. Check me on the base ingredient in Roundup, because it's like when I call the Tims, the Thames. Pull that up. I had the study, just a new study that came out last week. I was looking at the molecules on it and these studies on the the estrogen mimicking factors in it and the acceleration of tumors in the breast. But hey, you know, don't look into that for yourself. Just cut your breast off. Yeah, it's glyphosate. There you go. Yeah, that was correct. I called it something slightly different. It's a broad spectrum systemic herbicide used to kill weeds. And I guess we are weeds, according to the New World Order. That's what Margaret Sanger calls black people and Hispanics, and folks are weeds. But before they kill all the weeds, they'll get us all in a race war with each other. And let's go ahead and go to this clip of Ron Paul on September 6, 1984, in his first term in Congress, where the Republicans threw him out because he wasn't playing patty cake with them. Here's that clip.
It's now common knowledge that federal government computers are routinely used to compare lists of 18-year-olds who get driver's licenses with those who have registered for the draft. Computer surveillance seems appropriate for 1994 and, unfortunately, the wave of the future. This is in spite of the fact that Social Security's and Health and Human Services computers are already being used to keep tabs on our 18 and 19-year-olds. A recent story revealed an imaginary person received a threat from the Defense Department if he did not immediately register for the draft. Two brothers 7 years ago signed a fictitious name on an ice cream parlor's list in order to get a free sundae. This list unbelievably found its way into the government's files and is now being used for monitoring our teenagers. Millions of tax dollars are spent on this type of computer surveillance, a disgusting procedure for a professed free society. The irony is that it's done by an administration that brags about its limited government philosophy. And the little condemnation we hear comes from those who would involve government in every jot and tittle of our economic lives. Why is it that it's so difficult to defend freedom consistently across the board?
That's why I love, L-O-V-E, love that man. Oh, I wish he could have been our president. But I have faith whenever the Supreme Court rules there is a Second Amendment. And I have faith when they go, no, you can't patent people's genes. I just want to have faith in people. I just want everybody to be successful and happy. And I want to reach for more liberty, not less. Because that's what empowers humanity. Can't we just have that? I mean, come on, folks. They admit they run Al-Qaeda. They always ran it. It's not our government. It's criminals. Let's arrest them. Here's another clip that we've got here, where somebody who you'd see more on the progressive side is talking about Obama.
So here's an idea that Governor Romney and I actually agreed on last year. Let's tie the minimum wage to the cost of living so that it finally becomes a wage you can live on.
So that's President Obama in February in a State of the Union address. Isn't that what you're calling for?
Yeah. Has there been a bigger con man in the White House than Barack Obama? He hasn't lifted a finger since he made those statements. And when he made the statements in the 2008 campaign, he said nothing for 4 years on raising the minimum wage. He made no pressure on Congress. He hasn't even unleashed the people in his own White House on this issue.
Now, folks, whether you're for the minimum wage or not, it becomes an economic discussion. They generally don't work. But you have a minimum wage for the bankers, it's billions of dollars they steal from us. So the bottom line is the minimum wage does not even keep up with inflation. And Obama promised he would do that, so of course he didn't do it. Because if he promises to do something, he's not going to do it. Unless if he promises to teach 5-year-olds how to masturbate, then he'll do that. I mean, if it's perverted, if it's corrupting the youth, if it's screwing kids up so they can't be innocent, then he'll do it. If it's make sure, kids get GMO and more vaccines, he'll do it. But anything other than that, he will not do it. So there are some of those clips. I'm going to come back, take some phone calls ahead of a guest we've got coming on. And then I've got to get to all this other news. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 11 other stacks, and it's all bombshell. Like the Huffington Post shows a dog's butt and says this is Jesus and makes jokes about Jesus, which is their free speech. But then if you try to criticize Muslims, you get your YouTube site shut down, which I'm not calling for. It's just that it's only okay to attack Christians, and I'll explain why. All right, Scott in Indiana, Joseph, Jason, Rocky, Bo Winkle, we're going to get to all of you coming up here in just a moment. Some of the top news up on Infowars.com. Video, FBI Director Mueller doesn't know anything about IRS investigation because there isn't one, because the government is there to persecute people with its police state and take the bank accounts of innocent people, and everybody knows that. That's why most people won't get involved. They're a bunch of tyrant crooks who use the NSA to gather financial data on everybody to game the economy, and it's all out in the open. Just like I told you 15 years ago, and 10 years ago, and 5 years ago, and a month ago, and a week ago, and a day ago. It's all there. It's a criminal mafia takeover. Every federal agency is hiring criminals lovingly. I mean, felons, aggravated assault, rapists, financial crimes people, con artists, building an army of hell. You know who's going to run the FEMA camps? Criminals, ladies and gentlemen. That's who they hired to run Abu Ghraib. Was fired federal jail guards who were convicted of raping things. Who do you think they have raped the children in front of the parents? That came out in the Army's report. That's what the good guys do, remember. In all the movies and all the sitcoms and all the dramas and all the shows and the new Rainbow Six game, they fight the gun owners and the white men. It's the white Al-Qaeda. And the good news is white share of U.S. population drops to historic low. Massive numbers of whites die for those that are born. So the good news is soon there won't be any white people. Was 9% of the world population, it's now 7%. And there'll be an age of heaven once all the bad whites are dead, according to Hollywood, which is just there playing people off against each other. But it is the Magna Carta and the Renaissance that is hated, not the white skin. But don't worry. The golden age will begin when the devil whites are all dead. The devil whites. The devil whites of the... In fact, your teeth should all be ripped out of their white. Just the color white is evil. I mean, the media told me so. Let's go back to some of the other stories that are... I'm going to stop being sarcastic here, folks. Some of the other stories that are up on Infowars.com. Arrest Obama under the NDAA for supporting terrorists in Syria. That's a key article. And New York City introduces bill to outlaw 3D printable guns. There you go. And Obama had a fiction writer write up the Syrian nerve gas account. Why not have Steven Spielberg or maybe Stephen King? Maybe Kurt Vonnegut will resurrect him from the grave and have him write stuff for Obama. Let's go ahead and have Scott in Indiana. You're on the air, Scott. Welcome to the airwaves.
Hello, Alex. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. I just realized the government cares about me. That's why they spy on me. They're good people.
Of course. Well, Alex, I just wanted to call to let you know and all these viewers know that I think we're doing a really good job of exposing the NSA spying, but that at this point, everyone needs to be very vigilant because at times like this is when they will try to stage a false flag to get our mind off of what's going on in the news.
Well, I mean, it is a false flag to admit the war's now going on. Oh, there's a war. Public health. And then, we've got to give the loving people weapons. They were saying to fight Al-Qaeda as they arm Al-Qaeda. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely, Alex. But I was just saying...
Drink more fluoride, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, at times like this, is when they will try to do like a false flag, nuke a city, say, we told you, we didn't let us listen.
But aren't you glad they have fluoride for babies, even though the Journal of Pediatrics says don't give fluoride to under 5, and it reduces their IQ and gives them cancer? I mean, look, it's not creepy to go to the grocery store and it says nursery water for babies and they push it. Come on, man, let's die. Absolutely. Come on.
Absolutely. I've been awake for a while.
Trendy.
Ever since the early 2000s when the federal government actually shut down the Indianapolis Baptist Temple here in Indianapolis.
Well, shutting down churches is good.
Oh, of course.
Sir, have you had enough shots? When's the last time you had a vaccine?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, Alex, my kids haven't had any vaccines.
Whoa.
They're not going to get them.
Well, that's the problem, sir. That's why you're not with the program. Wouldn't you like to not think anymore? Can you imagine just being like the general public who can't even hardly talk now and just walks around like bumping into walls? Don't you want to be like that? Don't you want to die and be in a coffin? You don't want your kids to die of cancer, young? What's wrong with you? I bet you try to avoid GMO food.
Well, I'll tell you, Alex.
Hey, why don't you do like the Indian farmers You know, they drink the Roundup and then die. I mean, they actually that's a conspiracy, though. They actually live forever once they drink it. They fly, they sprout wings, and they actually don't drink the Roundup. It'll kill you. But, I mean, it's good for you, though. 2 + 2 = whatever I say, because I'm trendy. Do you want to worship the government right now? Just say you worship the government right now. Come on, man. Come on, Monsanto loves you, Scott.
It's crazy times we're living in, brother. I just want you to be safe and keep up the fight.
I am safe. I'm taking my shots. We're going to give you an update on the end of U.S. sovereignty as it's known, the so-called amnesty legislation, with William Gheen, the head of Valley PAC. He can give you the inside scoop on what's the latest version of the nightmare bill. What I've seen is the same thing as 2006, just total complete amnesty for felons, you name it. Massive bankruptcy of the country, $7 trillion over the next decade conservatively, which is what foreign banks want to do. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But first off, and then we'll go back to your calls and a bunch of news I haven't gotten to yet. First off, I want to tell you about InfoWarsTeam.com. That's the place to go if you want to pay like the $10 and then get the distributorship, so you get discounts on close to 400 amazing different health products, vitamins, minerals, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Pollen Burst Plus. It's all there. They've got the discounted Alex Pack that Dr. Wallach says is the most essential, the 4 products together. It's all up there at InfoWarsTeam.com, and the toll-free number is also there on the site if you want to become a distributor. The number is 888-789-9277. You can also call that number if you want any questions about how to sign up for auto ship and get free shipping, or about some of the specials and discounts. 888-789-9277, InfoWarsTeam.com. And you not only get the lowest prices on all the great longevity products, you are supporting InfoWars.com and the operation. And without longevity and without InfoWarsTeam.com and what we're doing, we wouldn't be able to continue. So thank you all for shopping with the good guys at InfoWarsTeam.com. That's the place to sign up to be a distributor, or InfoWarsHealth.com, which has the full catalog and everything up there. So both sites are very important. Both have audio and video interviews and a whole archive on every different health issue you can imagine. And it really is revolutionary. InfoWarsTeam.com or InfoWarsHealth.com, or simply call 888-789-9277. And we are, as usual, selling out of the June issue covering Bilderberg and shadow government very quickly. Big color glossy magazines in groups of 10 up to 100 at cost to hand out to friends and family. It's like a big color book, basically. It's in the big wide format, has all the graphics. You can go to InfoWarsStore.com and buy them in bulk to give people, or give a gift subscription to your friends and family. So get the June issue at InfoWarsStore.com, along with ProPure Water Filtration, the best out there. Look at the side-by-side comparisons, discounted with promo code 10% water at InfoWarsStore.com, or also by calling 888-253-3139. That's the great operators and crew right here in my office in Austin, Texas, 888-253-3139. Voting with your dollars to support the Info War. Now, if you try to sneak into Mexico, it's 6 months hard labor. Just type into a search engine, Mexico has some of the toughest immigration laws in the world. And you'll get the New York Times admitting it. 6 months, hard labor, breaking rocks, if you get caught sneaking into Mexico. If you try to go to Mexico, whether you're a Hispanic American or a white guy, black guy, whatever, try to go down there and have a baby for free, they'll laugh at you and arrest you. But we're supposed to say, come up here, it's all free. I talk about Mexico because that's about 80% of the immigrants. But if you want to legally become a citizen, it takes more than a decade. And I'm all for legal immigration. We need that as a country, especially because indigenous Americans don't have kids. Whether you be black or white, blacks abort 52% of their kids, and whites pretty much do the same thing. So blacks and whites are all dying. Hispanics are the future, which is human beings. I'm happy for that. But they're selling Hispanics that have moved to this country, that going along with socialism, anti-gun, all this is part of the Raza. They've used race-based politics of La Invasora, the reconquering, all of this, La Reconquista, the invasion, all this stuff, to sell a racial idea the Ford Foundation has sold on race-based politics attached to pro-government sentiment. And so you got globalist occupiers that are using giant masses of mainly Latin American immigration, but mainly Mexican, to then push an agenda and to illegally vote, you name it. And about 90% of the people that become new citizens, you look at the Gallup polls, do vote for communism, socialism, taking my guns, the state, my kids belong to them. The Mexicans try to fight back against having their kids sterilized in Mexico. That's not happening. So the globalists are, killing with one hand but giving America with the other just to implode the wages so that there's nowhere to run to. That's the policy. It's on record. And you've got all these Republican leadership up there saying this is the time, go with it, and then trying to keep the bill secret and different permutations. But then after he leaves us in about 10 minutes, I'll go to Rocky in Texas listening on 1590 AM. And we'll go to Joseph and many others. If I have to go into overdrive, we'll do it because I've got to get to this other news. Too much Prozac turns minnows into killers. ABC News. Yeah, the insert on Prozac says it makes people commit homicidal murder and mass, death and suicide, and they know that. That's why I said on Piers Morgan, stop giving kids mass murder suicide pills. And the media went, what's that mean? Well, you know what it means, punk. Don't take my guns because you're hopping people up on hallucinogens. That's what it is. It's in the psychotropic hallucinogen family. Side issue. I've got to get to that. But William Gheen joins us, allypac.com. This is the biggest fight. They've sold the foregone conclusion it's going to pass. Rand Paul has and Ted Cruz have acted like they're for it because they are for a reasonable, reform. But this isn't reform. So I've heard some neocons even going after Rand Paul like he's supporting it. From my understanding, he's supporting a real reform. I hope he doesn't support this because that will be a mark against him. But the expert is William Gheen with AllyPac, and we appreciate him joining us. What's really going on, William Gheen?
Well, thanks, Alex. First off, it is very disappointing about Senator Rand Paul, who is so right on so many issues, to be so wrong on amnesty. He has said that he is open to voting for this bill. And he has put out his own plan, which calls for the legalization of illegal immigrants here in the United States, which, whether you mean to or not, they will eventually get voting rights, and that's the kicker. That's the cardiac arrest of America, the coup de grace. If the 12 to 20-plus million illegal immigrants currently in the United States are allowed to stay and you live...
Will vote for the most hardcore communist Democrats.
Well, they'll vote for their own self-interest, and they won't, and the interest of American citizens will, which is, it should be clear to everyone that's even watching the mainstream news channels. It should be clear to everyone that the people of the United States are not calling the shots. The people in D.C. are obviously not representing
10% approval rating for the House. Listen, here's my deal. If Mexico will let me go down there and have a baby free and will do all that, then maybe it's fair. It's so crazy that it's like hospitality. Let people not let churches have prayer now, the IRS says. In America, pro-lifers can't have prayer. They're telling the IRS, you do not pray. And then, let's show a dog's butt on TV and say it's Jesus, and let's show it on the Huffington Post. But then if you say something bad about Muhammad, the Muslims burn everything down, and that's okay. America is committing suicide, what's happening.
We're not committing, we're being suicided. The people are not doing this. The people don't want this to happen. The people have supported people that have written laws into place that are supposed to prevent this, which are being usurped by a higher power.
Who is Rand Paul listening to? Because I've seen the current bill. It's an absolute nightmare.
Well, I don't know who any of them are listening to. I know that the Tea Party and conservative people had better turn on him on this and call him up and yank him by the collar on this, because they say, well, I like him so much and I like him on other things. I'm a fan. I'm just not going to get, in his face about this. We're not in the business of loving these people. Okay, these are not our gods. We're not supposed to be their fans.
Okay, so to be clear, you've looked at it.
Game of who our favorite racehorse is. Ooh, Rand Paul is my favorite racehorse. I'm not going to oppose him.
All right, William, tell us this then. What's in the current permutation of the bill? How bad is it?
The main thing is it's going to legalize 12 to 20 million illegal immigrants, put them on a course to becoming a new voting bloc, which will destroy America's borders forever. And every negative impact of illegal immigration that we currently experience, the loss of jobs, the depreciated wages, the killed Americans, the gang activity, the methamphetamine, the long list you and I could go on about of an hour, all these things will intensify And in the absence, once the elites that are doing this, what I call the controlled demolition of America, once they get the rubber stamp, which is what this bill is, it's already being done, and the Senate is trying, they're trying to get the Senate.
It's like Obamacare. It's a blank check.
Well, Obamacare wasn't already in place. The amnesty for illegal immigrants is already in place by forces and factors that are not enumerated in the United States Constitution.
I was about to say, isn't Obama by fiat already legalizing the illegals?
He has, but even before him, under Bush, those behind the scenes that have had the power to open the borders unexpectedly during a time of war and to paralyze our immigration enforcement systems throughout, those are our real masters. Whoever they may be, we know some of their surface groups, but there is an
Sure, and it's all part of the North American Union plan, but I mean, what does the establishment think they're going to do? Mexico is a failed state. We keep talking about Mexico because that's the issue. I want Mexico to be free, but I mean, my goodness, this is suicide.
Their short term is to do whatever the big purse strings that allow them to be reelected, regardless of what they do, to be happy with them.
How do we beat the bill? How do we beat the bill?
The promise is, Alex, that with their control of the mainstream media, which will not allow a voice like mine even on Fox News anymore, because Rupert Murdoch of News Corp is right there next to Michael Bloomberg on this. So we're cut off from any real resistance on the TV. Lou Dobbs is off the TV. Glenn Beck is off the TV. They won't bring you back for a while after you and Piers. Our voices are not on the main channels now that Google and Facebook are actively censoring groups like AliPac and others in sneaky ways. The politicians being told, you can do whatever, you can say whatever, you can continue with the stuff we know about you through our NSA monitoring of you and your boyfriends and your girlfriends and your tax cheating and your illicit businesses, all of that, you can do whatever you want. And nobody back home will ever know because we control all the communication channels. And that's the promise. And if you want to be part of the new nation that's being built on top of the wreckage of America, then you've got to play ball with them. And S744 legitimizes that into law, and it's a coup de grace. So we've got everybody we can that's on the alipac.us email alerts calling it the Senate. And
it's very simple. The globalists live in big armored compounds, and on record all over the world have used third world populations, taken Africa against another country that's actually doing better. They'll get a deal to open that up and then use that group to drive down wages. This is bad for everybody across the board, but they have attached it to a nationalism on top of it. I mean, it is just pure mind control. What do we do to beat the bill then? I mean, who do we go after in the House?
Well, right now we've got to get people to actually get out of their slumber here. They're not fighting back as intensely as they did in 2007 because they think someone's going to come on TV or somebody's going to come on most of the talk radio shows and tell them what's actually happening, and it's not happening this time, Alex. A lot of our talk radio resources around the country have been neutralized. They have been fired, shifted to lesser listened to channels. All sorts of different things have happened that a large portion of our talk radio presence...
No, they're taking all libertarian conservative shows, hundreds of them, off XM next month. I haven't even announced that yet. This was a takeover.
We've had powerful talk radio shows, 101.1 FM here in North Carolina, all of a sudden go down, and up comes a Spanish language radio station, and it's dead. It's happening everywhere. This is how the future will be, and how it will be. Listen to me carefully. If Senate Bill 744 is ever signed into law, that will mean it contains the amnesty provision. It will never make it into law unless it has that provision, and if it does get Obama's signature, most of us, I mean, I will continue fighting. I'm sure InfoWars will continue fighting, folks, but most of us will spend the rest of our lives trying to mitigate the damages from this amnesty bill. And the difference will be that all the negative things you see happening right now, will intensify, but we will have crossed the point of no return where a peaceful political resolution to them is beyond our grasp, because we're merely dealing with the next million illegal immigrants into the country and, 50-plus new people legally imported into the country in the first 10 years at a cost of $6.3 trillion, according to the Heritage Foundation. So,
yeah.
You're
no, I mean, this will bankrupt America. The standard of living will go down, but you'll have people waving foreign flags, and it's like, oh, how cute. And then it just goes on, and then it's not even helping those people. I mean, that's what's so sick about it.
you mentioned at the first of the show, nobody out there is asking why black people are dying, why white people are dying out, why the white population suddenly has done something demographers have never seen before, and it started a reversal. And then you read the articles that says natural decline, natural decline. It's just a
well, I think it's good. I think all the white people should be killed.
There's nothing natural about.
I think white people are bad. I agree with my university professors. I mean, I think white is inherently evil. And I think it's a good thing. No, but I mean, I'm being sarcastic, folks. The point is, ladies and gentlemen.
Your emails, your phone calls coming up, Alex.
No, I'm being sarcastic. My whole point is the globalists do this everywhere. They don't want a middle class. It's on record. It's like the carbon taxes would write it double stuff on the third world. They have enslaved these people already, and they've created a cosmology to now enslave everybody here. And the whole world is in decline, not just the West. And, you know, they're just telling people this is the way it is. Go with it. And, yeah, we're spying on you. And, yeah, we run al-Qaeda. And, you know, we're going to import al-Qaeda in to kill the Syrians. And, you know, the Syrians are racist if they don't get up on their roof and prepare to be beheaded. And I think that's true. I think all Syrians should be killed, and al-Qaeda should be given control of every country. I'm being sarcastic again. I mean,
the American drive to give people unprecedented freedoms and prosperities here at home and around the globe comes from our people. The people that have governed and sustained this country for over 200 years with blood and tears and sweat and generations of work and sacrifice, okay? They are taking that control of the country away from us. It's already been taken. We're no longer driving this. America still seems to be functioning and moving forward, but someone else is in the cockpit, and it's not all of us. And so the drive to maintain freedom and prosperity around the globe and at home is gone already. The illegal immigration and the design of the amnesty bill is to make sure it can never resurrect. It can never come back once 2 million more illegal.
I mean, wait a minute. The Bilderberg Group wants open borders because they
Nicaraguans are all poured on top of the existing stock.
But I mean, doesn't the Bilderberg Group and New World Order care about us? That's why they want open borders.
And whoever's behind it, the results are going to be the same. It's genocidal. It's nationally destructive. And there's no coming back from it. This is not a cyclical thing. This is not where the economy gets better and then it gets worse and things go up and things go down. This is a controlled demolition.
Wait a minute. Are you saying Mexico and Guatemala aren't great places to live and we shouldn't do that here?
I'm saying that those people have absolutely no grasp of the U.S. Constitutions and the types of...
I think you're extreme. I think the Constitution is a Western document and evil, and it should be burned. And I think every cathedral and all Western architecture should be pulled down, and I think you're an extremist. William Gheen is evil.
You're going to get hired by a job offer from MSNBC any day now, Alex.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, but you can have me on. I can be your guest that you feel that makes...
Yeah, well, hey, William Gheen, you're an extremist. And how dare you even come on the show? Folks, we need this amnesty bill to pass. This is good for America, and I think Rand Paul's doing a great job. I'm going to go to Rocky in Lubbock, Texas, and Joseph in New Orleans and others. We'll do Overdrive. I've got to get to this other news as well. Seems like I ought to just go back to it in 4 hours every day. That's what I'm doing anyways. All I did was have some stations drop the 4th hour when I quit doing it. This is so sad because all I want to do is empower humanity. And the globalists are just using third world populations that they have helped impoverish and enslave as weapons. And then they politically, with kind of a leftist, weird racial deal, dress it up. And it's very dangerous. Then they tell Americans to not have any nationalism so that we just stand down and this happens. And it's all very cold-blooded. And then I've been reading where they're cutting border security. Of course, I mean, the government even runs al-Qaeda on record now. They're cutting border security and then saying, oh, we'll look at that after the amnesty, and then it lets the people make their families legal to come in. Of course the big banks that are getting the U.S. in debt with fiat, of course they want this, because this will bankrupt, just like Obamacare. Everything is designed to destroy the country. So what's your final comments on that? William Gheen with AlleyPac.com.
Well, the reason they have to control the media so much to prevent any counter-argument is because here are the two things that will completely destroy this bill and Marco Rubio. If anybody's allowed any type of equal time on the talk radio shows where he's going around playing the role of a Judas goat to lead American conservatives and Republicans to their own political doom. One, Rubio says that we've got to have the enforcement in this bill, and that these laws, the border will be secured and these laws will be enforced after the amnesty that's not an amnesty passed. Well, that's ridiculous, because why would another piece of legislation suddenly secure our border when there's already a stack of legislation in the U.S. Senate that says our border is supposed to be secure, then it's not. The idea that another piece of legislation, another piece of paper from these worthless senators who are not running the country, it's not going to change anything, and that falls apart with just the basic, most simple comment against it. Two, Rubio says that he's got to act. We've got to do something, because the current situation is de facto amnesty, which is a term that I started spreading around with some other great leaders a few years
Well, that's
back.
my whole point, is that it's already there. I'm thinking I'm going to try to become a legal alien. Just say I'm from Mars, so I don't have to pay taxes. I can drink and drive. Literally, I'll become a god. But it's go ahead.
Rubio says that he and the Senate are powerless against the de facto amnesty, but that passing a bill codifying that de facto amnesty will make things better. It's a ridiculous argument that falls apart with any counter scrutiny. So what we've got to do is similar to what you did on CNN. We've got to start yelling at people. We've got to break through these communication boundaries, get on these shows, get in these people's faces at public events, shout at them in their cars, and find the condensed ways to point these arguments out so that they penetrate.
I agree, and everything is 2014. The Republicans and the Democrats are all attacking real Tea Party types because that's what they fear. We need to get Americans of every race, color, and creed to run as libertarian constitutionalists to absolutely turn the tide, because the globalists want to finish America now, and they want our guns, folks. I mean, we've got a government spying on us illegally, running Al-Qaeda. Anything they promote is bad, and Lindsey Graham, all of them. I know Rand Paul's getting a lot of heat right now. I personally think he's playing politics, saying, well, if it's a good bill, I'll support it. And then he's going to say, well, this isn't a good bill once it's the final bill. Do you disagree with that?
After he put out a manifesto saying he wanted to legalize illegal immigrants, we cannot say anything in support of Rand Paul at this point.
It is shocking. And I got his dad on next Wednesday. We'll get his take on the immigration situation. And I get, there are a lot of people who are hardworking folks that have come to this country from all over the world. And then they're fleeing tyranny. I just do not want to become, Romania or Mexico. I mean, I'm sorry. I've been to Mexico a lot, and it's collapsed. William Gheen, thank you so much. We'll go into Overdrive now, Infowars.com/show for the video and audio links. Stay with us. Folks, you can't argue the fact that the government has corporate welfare by giving the illegals massive free goodies. And that's the race to get everybody dependent or on welfare of some type or in the criminal justice system. And America's got a chance to turn this around, but the public's already so dumbed down, just the general public that's already here. You bring desperate people from third world countries, the government's going to give them something free. They'll vote however they have to. And the globalists are going to win this war. And, if this kind of stuff continues, I mean, that's all I can say. And it's pretty serious. They're moving on every front right now against this nation and every other quasi-free nation. Let's talk to Rocky in Texas, who's been holding patiently. He's a 1590 AM listener. I think that station's out in Lubbock. Rocky, thanks for holding. What's on your mind after all the stuff you've heard today?
I was calling about how the police arrested the woman down in Slayton, Texas, just for asking for a warrant.
Yeah, they came to her house. They didn't have a warrant, and they said, we're coming in your house. And she said, may I please see a warrant? And they arrested her. And that ties into all the NSA spying. It just shows how crazy it's gotten. Sure, go ahead and comment on it.
Yeah, I live here in Lorenzo, Texas. Slayton is down here in Lubbock County, so it's just down the road from me. And I called the police department because I wanted to comment on it. And I told them that the police committed a crime. And she hung up on me, so I had to call 3 times because she kept hanging up on me. She was very rude. And I told her it was a crime that he committed, and she said that was my opinion. And I think more people need to call in this area because we are the enforcers of the Bill of Rights.
Well, I think what you should do is go to city council, and this woman needs to sue them, and you need to get a new police chief there. I mean, that's what you need to call for, is the police chief to step down. They don't care if slaves call them, though it has some effect. It just makes them buy more weapons against us. Let me show people the article you're talking about out of My Fox Lubbock. And it came. She was polite. She said, yes, I'd like to see a warrant. And the guy said, the police officer said, he said, this is how you want to play. And they arrested her as false imprisonment. It was kidnapping. Took her to jail. And they're going to, I guess, now charge her with something fake. And it turns out there was no warrant for the 11-year-old. They thought might have been breaking bottles or something in the street. I mean, no one knows. So there's the type of stuff you have right there. Yes, sir. And again, that's all part of this thing where there's no Fourth Amendment, there's no nothing. It's just, and they're going to take the bank accounts too, just like a third world country. Just like Asia, just like Eastern Europe, just like every Latin American country, we are going to live as total slaves with open sewage running down the middle of the street, with elitist often compounds, you know, with helicopters.
But they look at us as slaves because we're not standing up as a whole. I mean, the Bill of Rights is to keep the government's hands off of us, and we need to stand up together and let them know that we're out here.
That's right. The law states in common law, but also in constitutional law, that rights aren't given, they're demanded. And you've got to demand your rights. You've got to say, stop it. And they have hired police all over the country now that are just on total power trips and feel like they're doing the right thing. So she's lucky they didn't charge her with assaulting him. There could have been 19 video cameras running of her kneeling down and licking their boots. They would still charge her with assaulting him, you know, in many jurisdictions. And it's just, it's all lawless. And hey, it's a curse. It's the curse of evil, and we're now going under it. I mean, we've killed 53 million babies in this country. And so we deserve it at many levels. You know, those of us that haven't been part of it don't, but we deserve it. We're cursed. Man, America's cursed. We're going down. It's all gone. But there'll be a remnant out of this great time that comes. And people will see those of us that told the truth as the leaders in the future, and we're going to have to lead the way out of this. It's going to be very bad, though, my friend. We're a cursed nation.
Can I give out that number?
Sure, to the police department, go ahead.
It's 806-828-2020. The Slayton Police Department.
And tell them what, how dare you violate the Fourth Amendment? I mean, I think people should get together and should sue them. And that police chief, all of them need to be fired. That's how you handle it. They won't listen. Cops, go ahead and drink some more fluoride. Government cares about you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank you so much for joining us into the fourth hour right now. I'm going to go to Joseph and Anthony and Howie and Jason and a few others, but let me get to a bunch of news I haven't covered yet. I mentioned this, but here it is. Too much Prozac turns minnows into killers. Oh, like they needed some Prozac. And it turns out that parts per trillion, just like Roundup parts per trillion, massively increases breast cancer in a new study, but no big deal. I mean, plants are just the toughest, most hardy thing in the world, and weeds are the most hardy of those, but it kills them. It's got to be good for you. I mean, you know, sure, Roundup type stuff. I mean, sure, BT in the corn, pharmacological, grows its own pesticide, kills bees and bugs, but it's got to be good for you. I mean, everybody knows drinking a can of Raid will kill you, but so what? Dying's good for you. And if you don't believe that, you don't love the government because they care about you a little bit right now. But here it is. A research group has studied how exposure to antidepressants altered fish behavior and made them more edgy, aggressive, and even kill their mates. Oh, something the species never do. And eating their babies. Don't normally do that, but it's all right. And that makes the shrimp commit suicide, swim up to fish and stuff. That's really an old study, but there's a new study out. But it's good for our kids, though. You know, don't worry about all the killings happening. Here's another one. Just the scent of money is corrupting. Big new Harvard research. Yeah, I've seen this before with people. You just wave like a few $1,000s around. People get all crazed. When it's all just fiat nothing. The globalists get the world out of fiat Federal Reserve notes, and then people will do anything for it. And it's all just a fraud. It isn't like it's a bushel of wheat somebody actually grew and then you'll do something for that, or, you know, water hauled up from the well, you'll do something for that, or a dinner cooked for you, or fealty, or friendship, you know, give friendship back. It's all just fake for the galactic con artist New World Order to get everything for nothing. Everything because they're frauds, everything because they're lies. But it said some people who aren't materialistic, you know, they're not excited by it, but other people, the look, the smell, it has a detergent in it, gets them sexually excited. Of course, that's something well known. And it's just amazing, ladies and gentlemen. The symbol of energy is what it is. Money, Pavlovian. What a joke. People will kill their grandmother for a stick of bubble gum. And they won't even stand up for their family as they're feeding them GMO and a death sentence because it's so fun to be trendy. Let's go to the next article here. Dog butt looks like Jesus Christ in a robe. And it is a dog's scrotum and rear end. I guess dog porn's the new thing at the Huffington Post. And they say it looks like Jesus. Okay? It's kind of like seeing the Virgin Mary in a waffle or whatever. And it's okay to put the crucifix or in urine or defecate on the Virgin Mary and then have taxpayers pay for it. People are like, how dare you try to censor art? No. Taxpayers pay for that because it's about dumbing things down. It's always good to go after Christians. That's okay. That's all right. And again, it's hospitality. Come here from all over the world, get 3-4 free welfares, identities, be above the law, the police won't arrest you for anything on record, and have your babies for free, and then everybody else can go bankrupt. So why should an American, regardless of what color they are, be part of the system? I mean, more and more I realize, but see, if you are an American, that speaks English, who's Hispanic, the book's thrown at you. If you're white, an American, black, the book's thrown at you. But if you're an illegal, pretty much from anywhere in the world, you are G-O-D-D. But I'm supposed to like that injustice. I'm supposed to think that's a good idea. And they've totally sold that it's racist if you don't have totally open borders. Well, okay, there you go. Well, I'm coming to Mexico then, and I want everything free. Well, I'll get my teeth knocked out and thrown in a dirt-floored jail. America deserves to fall. America wants to fall. So abort some more babies. Go out and party, everybody, because it's all going to be a Holocaust in this country. But I don't deserve it, and my family doesn't. So I'm doing everything I can to stop it. But a lot of you out there that love this, you deserve it. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, let's make fun of Jesus. That's okay. But look at this. France's burqa ban sparks violence across Paris after police try to arrest woman for wearing a veil, and pregnant woman is attacked for covering her face. And again, it's on record that Muslims flying into the U.S. don't get searched, don't get groped, and don't have to take their burqas off because they say, I'm not a slave, I'm not going to do it. But Americans grovel in fear to the TSA because our religion is being land of the coward, home of the slave. Airlines warn not to fly Snowden, yeah. All over the world, a no-fly list. I saw that earlier today. No one let him fly. No airlines. Stop him. The global technocratic control grid. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to run. How dare you expose we've got all the data and use it against you financially? How dare you expose we use it to game everything? And we're going to steal their pension funds, and they'll find out about it if they know we're doing this. We're a mafia of scum. How dare the people find out? Abort more babies. Have Gloria Steinem wear a shirt saying, I abort babies, and it's good. And now, I was reading, European countries are starting the euthanasia of babies up to age 3, murdering children, just the curse of evil upon us. Moving right along here, health benefits come under knife ahead of Obamacare. That's right, they're cutting your health benefits, and now the government says what treatments you can get. You get free health care, a free cane if you're going blind, or have a bad knee. Written by the insurance companies to make you buy it and double the premiums on average, and then take away all the actual health care. Yeah, let's abort some more babies. Let's just say they're not human. Well, they're going to say you're not human either. You like how that works? Let's continue. More than 1,000 IRS employees misuse government charge cards. No, out of CNS News. Oh, my goodness. That's just the nice people. They're hiring all these felons, thousands of felons per department. State Department, 2,000 felons, all of them, just an army of hell force. But it's good. Soon you'll be arrested for not being criminal. That'll be the only crime. I'm not joking. And it's just going to be an orgy of death, an orgy of cancer. All the blessings out the window, all the freedom out the window. Everything you could ever want, you're going to get now. And all you evil people are going to get it too. You're going to get bioweapons sprayed on. You're going to flop around vomiting and dying with your whole family. Yeah! Because the New World Order loves us. Satan loves us. Satan gives us power. Satan gives us the gifts of death and disease and poverty and humiliation and dishonor. Oh, are you going to say a prayer to your Diablo because he loves you? Let's continue here with more news. Sanity prevails. Oh, my gosh. Sanity prevails. U.S. Supreme Court rules that human genes are not eligible for patent protection. Oh, that's a horrible ray of sunshine. How evil. What will Beelzebub do with his little cupcakes? Monsanto video revolt. Massive grassroots campaign launched against GMOs and Monsanto. I'm supporting that. That's up at prisonplanet.com. Find out more. U.S. chemical weapons report in Syria fabricated, says Russian Prime Minister. That's impossible. Our government never lies. Continuing, Lindsey Graham says Ron Paul's policies are a threat to America. That coming from that sniveling pig demon. I mean, look at that just piece of filth. Continuing here, that's one case. Well, I'm not going to say it. Maybe his mommy should have performed a little lovey-dovey, a little loving abortion. Give his mom a peace prize. I'm joking. I wish no harm against Lindsey Graham. You know what I mean. I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Learn a post-collapse trade before it's too late. Another article there. Oh, never learn a trade. You're supposed to be a service industry and just then not have anybody to service, but government boots. The new service will be sucking black boots as they kick you in the face and then taking your shirt off when they shoot you in the chest. That'll be the patriotic duty, is to line your kids up in a pit when they blow their brains out everywhere. And you'll assist them and help load the rifle because they're the authority figure. The authoritarian church has taught you Romans 13. And the government says, abort your baby for the earth. Chop them up for Jesus. Chop them up right now. It's for Jesus. Chop them up. Jesus says, chop them up.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Trendiness is going on. Let's continue. 20 examples of how America is really going down the toilet. Well, that's freedom. Let's continue here. That's just some of the news. I haven't even gotten to the other news yet. Oh, here, let's go to this. Let's go to this. Congress wouldn't pass carbon taxes. Obama just signs a regulatory order to increase the price of everything. And guess what? It goes in a private tax to him and Al Gore and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And then Bloomberg's getting the slaves ready. This was already done last week. Obama tells Keystone foes he will unveil climate measures soon that will bankrupt coal and everybody else, so you can't have any power or it costs enough to bankrupt you because abortion's good. They're going to abort your future and abort your economy till you're bankrupt and only depend on government. And I say good. Those babies are defenseless getting chopped up. I'll tell you my sick side, folks. A lot of you out there that love this evil, it's going to get real bad. I'm going to have a little sick enjoyment watching you get what you beg for so hard. All right, let's continue here. I'm actually really freaked out by what's going on, but it's like an automatic defense mechanism, just getting this sick mode here. Gallup, Americans' confidence in Congress at lowest ever. Some more good news. They know what slimebag murdering criminals scum is up there. Poll, confidence in Congress at all-time low. Senator Landrieu, who doesn't have two brain cells to rub together, talking about a knuckle-dragging slob, says South Dakota borders Canada while calling border fence dumb. No, lady, you're the one that's dumb. You're the one that's dumber than a box of rocks, you stupid piece of trash. Let's continue here. House makes stink bug policy public #1 priority. House makes stink bug public pest #1. How about they make themselves the public pest #1? They're a bunch of stink bugs. Third graders introduce Obama at LGBT pride event. Why don't you have third graders at the next Playboy event? Oh, that'd be called pedophilia.
Okay, sir. Now we will begin to proceed to obtain your IQ and aptitude tests.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us. The government loves you. Just wants to be fair and balanced here. Fairness doctrine. Obama loves you. He loves you. He loves you. Hey, I just introduced this from Idiocracy, one of Mike Judge's great masterworks as a satirist, to dedicate it to Mary Landrieu, the congresswoman who thinks that the name of the river that goes through London is the Thames instead of the Thames. That's a joke on me. I know who thinks that there doesn't need to be a border in South Dakota because it's borders Canada. But that's nothing compared to the congressman that thinks that Guam would capsize if you put too many people on it. That's beyond idiocracy. Or I guess it kind of isn't. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. You question government, it's a conspiracy theory. Maybe Guam would capsize. Maybe it's not a mountain on the bottom of the ocean that comes up and then the part above the water makes an island. Maybe it is floating on a giant turtle. That's right, CJ. CJ's a scientist. And Brondo's got the Roundup Ready that plants crave, and so do our kidneys. Let's go to Joseph in New Orleans. Joseph, you're a trooper holding. I appreciate you coming on with me today and putting up with me, sir. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Alex.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Alex. I'd like to talk to you about the new internet. Last year in June, we switched over to the new internet, which holds 1,200 trillion addresses instead of 4.7 billion. And we could read the articles at the time. They said explicitly that these new addresses were for electronics to be sold. So each of your electronics will have an IP address. And
absolutely, that's internet too. That's why they're building all these NSA bases, where the internet is the NSA. It always has been, and they're going to kill the old web. That's the public plan. Yes.
And it's just so funny that so many people are mocking the fact that people are pointing out, hey, where all these things are connected and it's watching.
Oh, look, he talks like a fag.
Right, exactly. That's all I had, man. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
No, Joseph, you're awesome. We need to. I tell my guys, we reported on this a decade ago. Report now that they're taking over the web. That's what the NSA Cybercom is. We need to tell people again. And I'm glad you called in. Do we have the clip of the congressman saying that is it queued right up to where he says, "Will the island tump over"? Oh, here it is.
On the widest part of the island, and I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
That's enough.
The Guam population.
Folks, that is not a joke, by the way. And this is who runs the government. Okay, that's why they put them in there. A lot of it isn't even a conspiracy. People above them are evil, but they put just super ignorant people in charge. Jason in California, going through police harassment. Well, everybody knows that doesn't exist. Go ahead, conspiracy theorist.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm just loving government right now.
Me too. Well, I've been in L.A. for about 2 years now, and it seems like in the last 6 months I've been pulled over in my car, getting in and out of my car, walking down the street, getting tickets for no reason. But the main reason why I'm calling is 2 nights ago, I was picking up a friend to give him a ride home after they were getting off work, and the police came up to my car and asked me what I was doing, and I said nothing, I'm waiting for a friend. And they basically put me in cuffs, took me in to the police station, did not arrest me. Well,
the CIA runs New York and L.A., and it's a test. They're getting everybody ready to be taken in, so you're just disappeared. And, that's the new system. Sure. What's wrong with that?
There's a lot wrong with that. The fact that they're telling me that they're the law and they can do what they want. And I said, well, actually, you uphold the law. And they would not let me call my attorney.
Well, look at outside Lubbock. It just came out. The woman said, well, may I have a warrant? And there was no warrants. They took her to jail. Why not have forced labor camps? Why not have the police abort us? I mean, a baby isn't a human. Why are we? How about the cops come to your house and chop your head off with a hatchet for the earth? I mean, what's wrong with that?
Well, there's a lot wrong with that. I mean, the basic thing is that they took me in and did not process me, but put me in a cell and would not let me call my...
No, they're getting ready to disappear people. What's wrong with that?
Well, it's a weird time we're living in.
Sir, you go to the store, all the water says fluoride for babies. It levels like 10 times what it is in the tap water. Tap water gives them a 15 to 20 point IQ reduction. They're lobotomizing kids. Look, give in, die. I love the government, murder me. Oh.